Chapter 37:16. When the girl beside Fayanu saw that Chuan Shan had left, she approached Fayanu again and tried to ask him. I heard that Chuan Shan is a very rich big shot in Shenzhen. What did he want from you? The girl didn't feel that she was particularly talkative. Fayanu put the things in the envelope back and smiled slightly. You know that the person just now is very rich? Well, who in Shenzhen doesn't know? The girl nodded. Everyone in Shenzhen knows. That's impossible. Many commoners don't even know about the rich. Fayanu smiled. Or it could be said that commoners don't have any channels to get information about the rich. The girl was stunned for a moment. In fact, this was indeed the case. It was the same for ordinary people in any place. Some people who like to boast might talk about a few people based on hearsay and gossip during their leisure time. They might talk about a famous local person or something, but in fact, it was all just hearsay. Very few people would casually talk about things that didn't see the light of day about themselves or the people close to them. Often, the more commoners they were, the more likely they were to talk about powerful people when they got together. The truly powerful people wouldn't talk about these things. This also proved that when it came to dinners or gatherings, the more one liked to brag about the people around them, the more often they weren't people. The truly powerful people wouldn't randomly mention a person's name at a party and then talk about how powerful he was or how close he was to the other party. The truly powerful people wouldn't say those things because they were meaningless to them. So, Chuan Shan might be famous among the upper class of Shenzhen, but the commoners wouldn't know too much about him. The girl's words didn't prove how upper class she was. It just showed another problem. She had a certain understanding of these upper class people, which showed that she had paid attention to them. Those who paid attention to these things were often green tea bitches. Because these green tea b** cheese needed to hook up with these upper class people in order to satisfy their vanity. If that Chuan Shan wanted to ask you out to play, I'm afraid you would have left my side by now, right? Fayanu looked at the girl beside him. The girl leaned on him. I really love you. Then scram. Fayanu laughed and scolded. I don't have time to waste on you now. I have to do something. If I don't do something to make money, those bitches like you won't stick to me like you, ha ha ha. Although she was insulted by such unpleasant words, the girl still chose to swallow her anger and didn't say anything else. Instead, she smiled and looked at Fayanu. Fayanu reached out and patted the girl's face. Don't worry, we haven't had sex yet. I won't just throw you away like that. Wait until I finish my work, then I'll play with you for a night. The girl knew that she was being played, but she didn't show any signs of anger. She knew very well that every girl who had slept with Fayanu would get a luxurious limited edition bag from Fayanu. Some lucky ones would get a bag worth more than 100,000. Fayanu picked up the envelope and left the bar. His figure flashed and disappeared into the night. When Chuan Shan returned home, there was still no smile on his face. After his subordinate prepared tea for him, he carefully said, President, you promised him 80 million. Isn't that a bit too much? If he can solve the problem, 80 million isn't much. If he can't solve the problem, 80 million isn't worth it. Do you understand? Chuan Shan stared and said, I hope he can get his money's worth. He definitely will. Fayanu has never failed in anything he does. The subordinate was very confident in Fayanu. Chuan Shan frowned and closed his eyes. After a little rest, he said, If this Fayanu can't solve the problem, then I'll solve you. The subordinate was stunned for a moment. This was actually a joke that Chuan Shan liked to make. When he asked his subordinates to do something that they could do 100%, he would make such a joke. But this time, was it really 100%? Although Chuan Shan's subordinate had a lot of trust in Fayanu, he still didn't dare to say it was 100%. This was something that no one could guarantee. After all, there hadn't been any cooperation before. Is there any pressure? Chuan Shan felt that his subordinate was caught off guard. No. Of course, I don't have any pressure. President, you have to believe in him. He is a master with a 100% good reputation. The subordinate tried to shift the responsibility to Fayanu. I don't care how good his reputation is. I just want you to promise me that you found him. You have already failed once. This time, I will never be disappointed again. Never. Chuan Shan's words were very firm. He had given Faianu 2 days, which was already the most time he could give. This was Chuan Shan's last chance to turn things around. He needed to be 100% sure, 100% sure. However, he knew in his heart that no one could give him a 100% guarantee and affirmation. At least, the guy beside him couldn't give it to him. Yes, yes, yes. Chuan Shan's subordinate nodded beside him. Ever since the Legends accident in Macau, in less than a month, Chuan Shan had aged a lot. He might not be able to see it himself, but his subordinates could see that the roots of his hair were all white. Just from this point alone, it could be seen how much pressure Chuan Shan was under. If it were 3 years ago, although Chuan Shan would be distressed by more than 1 billion yuan, it wouldn't have brought him so much pressure. It was hard to make money now. He had no way out. He was worried that he wouldn't have enough money to spend after retirement, so he had to desperately make money. In addition, he originally wanted to create an internet shopping virus to make everyone panic, so that they could put down their enthusiasm for online shopping and let the young people play the money game, so that he could have more opportunities to make money. However, the plan had failed. The super hacker that he had spent so much effort to find had suddenly disappeared before the appointed time. What was going on? Chuan Shan had no place to reason. He felt that he was really unlucky this year. It seemed that everything he did didn't go well. There would always be some big and small bumps. After a lot of trouble, Chuan Shan began to be superstitious. He felt that if he did too many bad things, there would always be retribution. He had to stop as soon as possible. If he stopped, he would retire completely. If he went abroad directly, no one could trace him. As long as he went out, it would be enough. But his son was disappointing, so he had to think about making enough money for his son, grandson, and even great-grandson for a lifetime. This made him unable to retire for a long time. Now that retribution had come, he couldn't let go even if he wanted to. If he didn't get the money back, not to mention his great-grandson's money, even his own money in this lifetime wouldn't be enough. Chapter 37:17. Faianu wasn't too nervous about Chuan Shan's request to get results in 2 days because the information in the envelope Chuan Shan gave him was detailed enough. He didn't need to waste time looking for people. It took Faianu a very short time to find the place where Su Yun was. When he arrived outside Yefala's villa, he happened to bump into Yi Shui coming out. Although the sky was dark, the light in the villa's entrance hall was enough for Faianu to recognize Yi Shui. He had to be able to recognize Yi Shui. After all, Faianu was from the hunter school. He, Yi Shui, and the others were the first batch of people to finish their apprenticeship. If he hadn't violated his principles and had to flee far away, perhaps he would have been a respected instructor in the hunter school. Faianu was shocked that he hadn't seen anyone from the hunter school for many years. Zhue Ming's appearance in Shenzhen had scared him. At first, he thought Zhue Ming had gotten his news and was coming to get rid of him. Faianu knew Zhue Ming's strength too well. He didn't dare to confront him directly, so he arranged for spies to keep an eye on him and then ran to the neighboring province. He was relieved when he was sure Zhue Ming wasn't looking for him, but he also waited for Zhue Ming to leave Shenzhen before returning. He didn't expect that not long after, someone from the hunter school would appear in Shenzhen again, and it was also an instructor-level big shot, Yi Shui. Faianu said softly. He really wanted to talk to Yi Shui. Yi Shui was one of the few girls in their group, and she was one of the few girls who insisted on staying. To be honest, Faianu admired Yi Shui. He didn't dare to provoke Zhue Ming because he knew Zhue Ming was the person who was most like the headmaster. Principles were principles. If he rashly greeted Zhue Ming would definitely catch him and bring him back. Faianu was clear about his own strength, and he would never confront Zhue Ming directly. But it was different when facing Yi Shui. He would have the urge to go up and talk about the old days because Yi Shui was much gentler than Zhue Ming. More importantly, Yi Shui's strength should be below his since he was a child, so Faianu didn't have any fear of Yi Shui. Even if Yi Shui saw him, she would turn hostile. Fayanu also felt that he didn't have to worry. He shouldn't be easily subdued by Yi Shui and brought back to the hunter school to be punished. It was because of this little bit of confidence that Fayanu didn't need to run back. Seeing that Yi Shui was about to leave, Fayanu followed without hesitation. Moreover, he really wanted to know the relationship between Yi Shui and Su Yun that he was going to deal with. Su Yun lived there, and it was impossible for him to run away, so Fayanu didn't have to worry about Su Yun. His current goal was all on Yi Shui. What Fayanu didn't expect was that he actually followed Yi Shui very far. Yi Shui was probably hungry. She found a popular shop and sat down. This Dong Jia restaurant's iron pot seafood was pretty good. Many seafood lovers especially liked this place. Perhaps Yi Shui was really hungry and tired, so he ordered a wok of seafood and 2 bottles of beer. The wok of seafood was quickly served, along with beer and cups. Yi Shui first ate a few mouthfuls before she was ready to open the beer. Just as she was about to reach for the beer, she felt an inexplicable chill behind her. It was at this time that Fayanu reached for the beer, opened the bottle cap with his finger, and poured a glass of beer for Yi Shui under her surprised gaze. Silent stalking was a specialty of the hunter school. Not only could Yi Shui quietly hold a knife to Su Yun's neck while he was bathing, but Fayanu could also suddenly appear beside her when she was a little relaxed and ready to eat. I haven't seen you for many years, and you are still so beautiful. You haven't changed at all. Fayanu actually sat across from Yi Shui, turned over a glass for himself, and poured a glass of beer. If the 2 of us drink, I'm afraid 2 bottles aren't enough. Yi Shui frowned, and the surprise from before slowly disappeared. She finally said, "You actually dare to appear in front of me?" Fayanu shook his head. "To be honest, I don't dare. I know the orders given to you by the headmaster. Since you know, you shouldn't appear in front of me. I have my principles, and I won't let you go." Yi Shui's voice sounded a little cold. Fayanu smiled bitterly and looked around. "You see, this shop is so popular, and so popular. If the 2 of us were to fight here, I'm afraid that not only would the shop owner suffer losses, but some innocent people would also be hurt. So, are you threatening me?" Yi Shui stared at Fayanu, and her face became more and more ugly. "No, I don't dare." Fayanu shook his head. "I'm telling the truth. I'm really worried about the safety of innocent people because I'm an honest person. If you fight, I will definitely fight back, so I hope you can understand me and give me a way out. If I don't have a way out, then it's really—" "You are threatening me." Yi Shui's voice was even colder. Fayanu smiled bitterly. "Yi Shui, we haven't seen each other for so many years. Are you going to use this kind of— This is not the attitude an old friend should have. After you betrayed the hunter school, we are no longer friends," Yi Shui said bluntly. Fayanu frowned. "I betrayed? Can this be considered as my betrayal? You betrayed yourself for money, betrayed justice, betrayed fairness, and betrayed principles. Isn't this betrayal?" Yi Shui said righteously. "But these so-called justice, fairness, and principles are all set by the principal. They are not our own." Fayanu didn't feel that he was wrong. He defended himself. "Betraying ourselves for money? Don't we betray ourselves for money when we hunt down those people for the bounty? Why can't I take on those things that give me more money? Why do I do things for money? And the principal doesn't do things for money. Because the principal is a man of principles." Yi Shui glared. "I hope you don't insult the principal with your own standards." "Ha ha ha. I didn't expect that after not seeing each other for so many years, we would meet again with such an attitude. Yi Shui, I'm really disappointed." Fayanu picked up his wine glass and drank it all. Yi Shui looked at Fayanu emotionlessly. "I'm disappointing you? You betrayed our hunter school. That's really disappointing for us and the principal. Do you still remember? If it weren't for the principal taking you in, you might have died in that damned smoke-filled city." Fayanu's eyes were lifeless. It took a while for him to react. At that time, it would have been better for me to die in that damned place. Why did he take me in? I'm a person, not his machine. I don't want to be controlled by others. The principal has never controlled any of us. What we do is meaningful. Why can't you understand? Yi Shui was heartbroken. Chapter 37:18. When Yi Shui's emotions were slightly agitated, Fayanu became calmer. Why do I have to understand him? Why is it that what he wants to do is meaningful, and what I want to do is meaningless? Yi Shui finally realized why the headmaster rarely accepted students of other nationalities. Perhaps there was a big difference in their thinking. Could it be that Fayanu was unable to understand the things the headmaster wanted them to understand? Perhaps it was like this. The thinking of Easterners was probably easier for Easterners to understand. I don't think I did anything wrong, so why do I have to admit that I was wrong? Fayanu asked. Is it betrayal if I don't admit it? You swore from the beginning when you joined, and you didn't abide by the things you couldn't do in the oath. Yi Shui said. Not abiding by them is betrayal. Not abiding by them is betrayal? Ha. Well, not abiding by them is betrayal. Fayanu laughed. I respected your so-called betrayal, and then I ran away and stayed away from you. Didn't the headmaster often say that out of sight, out of mind? If you can't see me, naturally you don't need to be annoyed, right? Why do you still want to kill me? The skills learned in the hunter school are not for you to use to commit crimes like murder and arson. Yi Shui had no appetite at that moment. Fayanu sneered. But haven't you done anything to kill people? Since you have chosen such a path, you can only rely on killing people for a living. None of us can deny that. Don't confuse what you did with what we did. The meaning of what we did is not the same. Yi Shui had already released her murderous aura. After Fayanu felt the murderous aura, he was stunned for a moment, but he was still sure that Yi Shui wouldn't do it in such a place. You won't do it here, so don't make the atmosphere between us so tense, Fayanu said. Yi Shui, putting aside the so-called betrayal of the headmaster, aren't we friends? When we first met, we were still children. I don't want to waste time reminiscing with you. Yi Shui interrupted Fayanu. The day you betrayed the oath, betrayed the headmaster, and betrayed the hunter school, you betrayed the friendship between all of us at the same time. Why must it be like this? Fayanu shook his head helplessly. I really don't understand why the headmaster has to do this. It's been so many years, why can't we just let it go? Yi Shui frowned. It's been so many years. What have you been doing all these years? Reflect. Or should we continue? Although Yi Shui asked this question, she already knew the answer in her heart. It could be seen from Fayanu's clothes that he was wearing now. He was wearing custom-made clothes from head to toe. They were all one of a kind, and any one of them was more than an ordinary civil servant could earn in a lifetime with his salary. The watch on his wrist was worth millions, and the ring on his finger was a rare blood diamond. Therefore, without sufficient financial strength, it was impossible to live such a life. Shenzhen was indeed a place where it was easier for foreigners to make money, but Fayanu didn't have any other skills. The only thing he could do was kill people. He couldn't become the president of a multinational corporation in the Asia-Pacific region, and it was impossible for him to make so much money through his other talents. Although the money earned by ordinary huaxia jobs was more than the money earned by ordinary huaxia jobs, it was impossible for them to be so extravagant. Therefore, Yi Shui was 100% sure that Fayanu would still do things that violated his oath. Only by doing things that violated his oath could Fayanu earn enough money for him to be so extravagant. What do I have to do for you to forgive me? If I reflect on myself, will you forgive me? Fayanu asked. I don't need you to answer me. I already know the answer in my heart. It's impossible. No matter how much I reflect on myself, you can't forgive me. No matter what I do, as long as I'm caught by you, I'll die. So, why should I reflect on myself? Why do I have to go and regret? Not to mention that I never thought it was my own mistake. Even if I realized my mistake and admitted it, my end wouldn't change. I would still choose to make mistakes again and again. You didn't give me any other opportunities. What's more, I don't think what I did was wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. Fianu's mood slowly changed from calm to anxious. Yi Shui had been suppressing the anger in her heart. She knew that once she exploded, it would be out of control. This place was a public place, and Fianu was right. She couldn't hurt the innocent because of her impulse. Therefore, Yi Shui had to suppress her emotions. Otherwise, they would have already made a move. Let's change places to chat, Yi Shui said, getting up to leave. But Fianu didn't stand up. If we change places, I'm afraid it won't be a chat. Yi Shui, I know that we will part on bad terms in the end, but I came here to see you because I wanted to chat with you before you turn hostile. I want to tell you that I still have you as a friend in my heart. Unfortunately, in my heart, you're no longer a friend. Yi Shui's words were really decisive. Fianu's heart was filled with bitterness. It seemed that he really couldn't find his past again. Since you've put it this way, then I have nothing to hide. I'm still doing things that violate the hunter's oath. Fianu became expressionless. And I'm doing one right now. There was disgust in Yi Shui's eyes. To her, Fianu was an ingrate who walked out of the hunter school. Then my reason is even more sufficient. Yi Shui's voice no longer had the slightest affection of the past. What's your relationship with Su Yun? Fianu suddenly asked. Yi Shui was stunned. What the hell was going on? How did Fianu know about Su Yun? Don't tell me you don't know what I'm talking about. The moment you walked out of his house, I had my eyes on you, Fianu said. Fianu said, Yi Shui, I can tell you very clearly that my target is not you. I just happened to see you. Yi Shui instantly understood what was going on. Your target is Su Yun? Yi Shui stared. Fianu sneered and didn't say anything. Yi Shui suddenly said in a contemptuous tone, I'm afraid it's impossible with just you. I'm afraid you don't have the final say in this matter. Fianu shook his head. I only have the final say in what I want to do. Although you said that I betrayed the oath of the hunter school, after I left the hunter school, I have always been a very trustworthy person. Those who have worked with me all know that I am trustworthy. If I receive money from others, I must do things for them. After a pause, Fianu continued, in the words of your Hua Xia, when you receive money, you eliminate disasters for others. Chapter 37:19. Not to mention Su Yun, you can't even get past me. Yi Shui looked at Fianu coldly. If your goal is Su Yun, then coming to me will be the biggest mistake of your life. No, nothing can be the biggest mistake of my life, Fianu said. Fianu said, because the biggest mistake of my life has already been made. I once had the opportunity to kill the headmaster, but I missed it. That was the biggest mistake of my life. Nothing can be compared to that mistake, and it will always be. Yi Shui's gaze fell on Fianu's face, and she said expressionlessly, I won't let the biggest mistake of my life happen. Ha ha. Could it be that the biggest mistake of your life will be letting me go this time? Fianu smiled. Yi Shui, don't be so naive. If I was really worried about what you would do to me, I wouldn't have appeared in front of you. Even if you wanted to do something to me, you can't beat me. You are too confident, Yi Shui said. If we were in another place, I would make you regret your decision tonight. Fianu shook his head. I really don't want to hurt you, Yi Shui. No matter how you look at me, in my eyes, you will always be a friend. I swear to God on this. As a person who has broken an oath, any oath you make is meaningless to me, Yi Shui said. Don't waste any more time, okay? Are you wasting time talking to me? Fianu was really hurt. He didn't expect Yi Shui to even think that talking to him was a waste of time. Yi Shui was determined to ignore Fianu. She got up and walked out of the shop. Because of her emotions, she even forgot to pay. Fianu reluctantly drank the beer in his cup, took out a few $100 bills, and threw them on the untouched wok of seafood. He got up and followed her out. The waiter who came to clean up was a little confused. He had more than doubled the money, but he hadn't eaten a single bite, and he had only drunk 1 bottle of beer. These days, as a waiter, he had seen many people who were extravagant and wasteful, but he had never seen such an extravagant and wasteful person. If it wasn't for the fact that he had spent all his money on this dish, he would have taken it back and eaten it himself. It would be a waste not to eat it. However, he really couldn't bear to throw money on it. Money was too dirty. He didn't know how many people had rubbed it in their hands. The more circulated something, the dirtier it was. Ishui walked without looking back. She was not worried that Fayanu would turn around and leave. Unless Fayanu was an idiot, he would not have followed her. If Fayanu did not follow, Ishui would immediately go back to find Su Yun. Su Yun was Fayanu's target, and Fayanu would have to solve the problem sooner or later. When the time came, he would have to face a 1 versus 2 situation. Fayanu was not that kind of stupid idiot. He knew that the risks involved in fighting 1 by 1 versus 1 against 2 were completely different. So, he would definitely keep up and would never run away. Fayanu, who quickened his pace to catch up, was also very clear about Ishui's plan. No matter what, he had to deal with Ishui today. Although the two were old friends who had not seen each other for a long time, they had grown up together after all. They still had a little understanding of each other. If even Ishui could not deal with it, it would be really difficult for him to deal with Su Yun. At least for now, Fayanu was not clear about Su Yun's strength. However, from Ishui's words, he could hear that Su Yun was not a guy to be trifled with. One had to be careful when doing things. Only by being careful and advancing step by step could one be victorious in every battle. Only then could one be in an invincible position. That was Fayanu's principle of doing things. If he did not have his own principles of doing things, Fayanu might not have been able to establish himself in this world. To be able to avoid the hunter school for so many years, he relied on being careful. Fayanu dared to show up in front of Ishui because he had enough confidence to deal with her. But if this person was not Ishui, but Jue Ming or Lone Wolf, Fayanu would never act rashly. He would never do something that he was not sure of. Never. When Ishui finally came to a relatively remote and uninhabited place, Fayanu's footsteps stopped first. "This place is already very far away," Fayanu said. "No matter which one of us stands in the end, it will be difficult to bring the other back." "I don't intend to take you anywhere," Ishui said faintly. "I am just looking for a better place to dispose of the body." Fayanu smiled bitterly. "Ishui, we have already come to this point. Do we still have to talk like this? Change your mood. No matter what, we were once friends." "Yes, it was once. If you don't understand the meaning of the word once, I can help you explain." Ishui turned around. "I have lived in Huaxia for many years. My understanding of Huaxia's words is even better than my understanding of my mother tongue. Of course, I know what once means." Fayanu sighed helplessly. "Since things have come to this point, I am afraid that I have no choice." "Yes, you really have no choice," Ishui said faintly. "Do it." With one sentence, the once friendship was completely torn to shreds. To be honest, Fayanu felt some regret in his heart. He did not want things to turn out like this, but it was not something he could control. Ishui belonged to the hunter school. What she did was loyal to the hunter school. What she did was worthy of the hunter school. Fayanu was the stain of the hunter school and the thorn in the heart of the ancient magpie world. Since Ishui had seen the stain, she had the obligation to erase the stain. Since she had seen the thorn, she had the obligation to pull out the thorn. The two finally confronted each other. What Fayanu did not expect was that Ishui had made great progress over the years. Their strength could be said to be almost equal. After dozens of rounds, Fayanu even had the thought of giving up. It would be better to let Ishui kill him, and his life would be over. But when it came to the moment of life and death, the strong desire to win still made Fayanu react. He did not want to die. No one wanted to die. Fayanu only wanted to live. No one had the right to take his life. In this way, the two of them were entangled for a long time. Yi Shui was a woman, after all, and her physical strength finally could not support her. The longer the two of them were in a stalemate, the more advantageous it was for Fayanu. Although Yi Shui was clear about this, her explosive power was getting weaker and weaker. It was more and more difficult for her to pose a threat to Fayanu. If this continued, everyone knew the final result. Finally, Yi Shui exhausted all her physical strength and still could not finish off Fayanu. Fayanu also almost exhausted everything. Fortunately, in the end, it was Yi Shui who fell first. Fayanu, who was sitting next to Yi Shui, said in a weak voice, "If I had known that your strength had reached such a level, I certainly would not have provoked you. Ha, ha." Chapter 37:20. Yi Shui had exhausted everything. She had tried her best, but she was still a little short, just a little short. Yi Shui's heart was full of regret. "You can kill me, but I assure you that the headmaster will not let you go." Yi Shui used the last of her strength to say, "Every hunter in the school will not let me die without knowing the reason. They will definitely find out the truth of the matter." Fayanu shook his head. "I won't kill you. How could I do that to you? Yi Shui, you misunderstood me. With our friendship, I will not kill you no matter what." "You bastard." Yi Shui suddenly realized Fayanu's purpose. Fayanu had also consumed a lot of energy in the confrontation with Yi Shui. Now he absolutely could not act rashly to provoke Su Yun. Although Fayanu was not clear about the relationship between Su Yun and Yi Shui had come out of the house where Su Yun lived so late at night. He guessed that they should have some friendship. And in the matter of Chuan Shan, Yi Shui and Su Yun seemed to have something in common, which meant that there was some kind of connection between them that Fayanu was not clear about but definitely existed. Fayanu was also someone from the hunter school. He was very clear that no hunter would contact people who had nothing to do with the mission when carrying out a mission. Since the two had contact, there must be some kind of connection, and the relationship between them was absolutely trustworthy. Based on this point, Fayanu could also conclude that Yi Shui was a very good bait. As long as there was this bait, Fayanu could take down Su Yun more easily. Why should he risk his life so much? Chuan Shan originally did not want a dead person. Now Fayanu could use Yi Shui as a hostage as an important bargaining chip to threaten Su Yun, which was pretty good. "Yi Shui, I didn't expect that after not seeing you for so many years, you could help me solve such a big problem when we meet for the first time." Fayanu smiled slightly. "Su Yun should agree to all my conditions for you, right? You think too much. I am not familiar with Su Yun at all. We can't be considered friends at all. Using me to threaten him won't work at all," Yi Shui said firmly. Of course, Fayanu would not believe Yi Shui's words. "Unfamiliar? Not friends? Why would you come out of his house so late at night?" "Haha, Yi Shui, I don't know Su Yun, but I know you. You are not a woman who will enter a stranger's house at night." Yi Shui couldn't explain it to him. Even if she did, Fayanu wouldn't believe her, so she couldn't explain it clearly. "Forget it, I don't need to force you to admit anything." Fayanu said, "My people will be here soon. I will take you to my place later. Yi Shui, you can rest assured that I will not treat you unfairly. Even if you are my hostage, you are also my friend. I will not hurt you. You're just using me to threaten Su Yun? You're thinking too simply." Yi Shui shook her head. Su Yun would not let Fayanu manipulate him for her sake, so Yi Shui had nothing to worry about. "Whether I can use you or not, how do I know if I don't try? Only after I try, can I be sure if the effect will work." While they were talking, a white commercial car appeared, and a few people got out of the car. They helped Fayanu up to ask about the situation and also restrained Yi Shui. Of course, Yi Shui was now powerless to resist. She could only let them lock her hands behind her back and take her to the car. Fayanu got into the car and motioned for his men to send them back. Then he informed another of his men to go to Su Yun's house to inform Su Yun. All of this happened too quickly. When someone appeared at the door and knocked, Su Yun was completely unaware that something had happened. Su Yun opened the door and saw a burly black foreigner in front of him. He frowned and asked, "What's the matter?" "Our boss has something to say to you." As the black man spoke, he put a mobile phone in front of Su Yun. On the screen of the mobile phone, Yi Shui was tied directly to a chair, and her mouth was sealed with tape. It could be said that Su Yun wasn't prepared at all. He couldn't understand at all. How could something happen just like that? There were no signs at all. If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't figure out Yi Shui's current situation, he would definitely have kicked the black man in front of him. "Hello." At this time, Fianu appeared on the screen of the mobile phone. "Mr. Su, I sincerely want to talk to you. I don't know if you have time? Cut the crap and get to the point." Su Yun didn't have any intention of being polite. "Let her go, and if you have any requests, come to me." Fianu was stunned for a moment, and he looked back at Yi Shui. "I don't think the relationship between you two is as strange as you said, Yi Shui. I even think I've misunderstood your relationship. Your relationship is closer than I thought." I didn't say anything, and Mr. Su took the initiative. Yi Shui struggled hard, but she was completely powerless to resist because she had exhausted her strength. "If your target is me, then point your spear at me. Don't talk about other people," Su Yun reminded Fianu. Fianu smiled slightly and said to Su Yun, "Of course, I came to you. From the beginning, I didn't intend to take anyone else, but I accidentally bumped into her, and she had to protect you, so I had to do it. Mr. Su, I hope you can understand. Is there any more crap to say?" Su Yun asked in return. Fianu laughed 3 times. "Ha ha ha. I like to talk business with straightforward people. Then I'll get straight to the point. I was also paid by someone, and I was entrusted by someone. As long as you do as I say, I promise I won't touch a finger of hers." Su Yun nodded. "Did Chuanshan bribe you?" Fianu didn't deny it and nodded. Su Yun knew that Yi Shui wasn't an ordinary master. The person who could subdue Yi Shui was certainly not a simple person. So, if Chuanshan wanted to hire this guy, it would definitely cost a lot of money. But with Chuanshan's current situation, he shouldn't be able to hire a master of this level, right? At least, if Su Yun didn't return the money in his hands, it would be difficult for him to pay. "How much money?" Su Yun sneered. "If I'm not wrong, Chuanshan shouldn't have paid in advance, right?" "Ha ha. Did he just give you a promise? Then I'm afraid you may not get the money. As far as I know, Chuanshan doesn't have much money in his pocket for him to hire a hitman." Fianu kept a calm attitude towards Su Yun's words. He knew that Su Yun was deliberately provoking him. "Mr. Su doesn't need to worry about the relationship between me and my employer." Fianu said, "If you don't want anything to happen to Yi Shui, then you'd better follow my instructions. Only if you follow my instructions will she have the possibility and chance to live." Yi Shui shook her head and struggled, but she couldn't say anything. Su Yun didn't hesitate, didn't wait, and didn't even consider. He directly agreed. "Okay." Su Yun's straightforward agreement stunned Yi Shui, because she felt that Su Yun didn't need to make any promises for her. He didn't need to do this at all. Chapter 37:21. Fianu was becoming more and more confident. He believed that he had grasped Su Yun's weakness. As long as he controlled Yi Shui, he could make Su Yun do anything he wanted. "Wait for the call. I'll have my people send you to where you need to go." Fianu hung up the phone after he finished speaking. Su Yun's heart was filled with anger, but he had nowhere to vent it. The black man standing in front of him saw that the video call had been hung up and stuffed the phone back into his pocket. Immediately after, the black man, who was acting friendly, actually wanted to enter the house. Fortunately, Su Yun was standing at the door, blocking him at the door. That gave the other party no chance to take advantage of the situation. You Orientals always like to say that it's a pleasure to have friends from afar. I'm a friend from afar. Aren't you going to invite me in for a drink? The black man said shamelessly. Su Yun shook his head. If you were a friend, I would naturally invite you. But now you're just a group of kidnappers in my eyes. Kidnappers who ignore Hua Xia's laws. Why would I not be happy? That's where you're wrong. The black man's mouth was quite talkative. I came to Hua Xia as a foreign friend who has contributed to the construction of Hua Xia's society. I'm very clear about the difference between a foreign friend and a foreign bastard, Su Yun said. So I don't welcome you. The black man's skin was quite thick. You Hua Xia people don't seem to be friendly to us black people. Almost all the reports about us are negative. Why do you treat us like this? Don't tell me that we have contributed nothing to Hua Xia. Su Yun was stunned by the guy's shamelessness. Even if there were black people who had contributed to Hua Xia, it would never be him. Su Yun was not a racist. He also knew that there were many black people who had contributed to the world. There was no doubt about that. He also admired some black people. Those who played basketball and football, he admired them. He didn't hate them at all. However, Su Yun could guarantee that this guy in front of him had no contribution to the world. Of course, some people said that those involved in sports only contributed unilaterally and did not contribute much to the progress of human society. They said that the most influential person among the black people was Mandela, the awesome global politician. He was the only politician recognized by all the countries in the world. Whether it was the 5 members of the United Nations, the 8 powerful countries in Europe and the United States, or even Cuba, Venezuela, Japan, Korea, and other countries, they all thought highly of Mandela. However, in Su Yun's eyes, he could only be regarded as a guy who sold the whole of South Africa to gain fame. However, Su Yun would never defame this person because he had publicly taught black people to be kind to Chinese people many times. Based on this, Su Yun would not defame him. After his death, the living conditions of the local Chinese immediately deteriorated. This could be considered his contribution to the Chinese. As for the others, perhaps they were only influential people in the eyes of black people. The guy in front of Su Yun wanted to brainwash Su Yun. Many black people would say the same thing. Dear friend, do you know black people? How many black people have you seen? Have you entered our society? Please don't be partial. You have to put down your prejudice and treat us sincerely and equally. When you really enter our hearts, you will definitely. When I enter your hearts, I will definitely want to kill you. Su Yun coldly interrupted the words of the bastard in front of him. Su Yun had not come into contact with those high-end black people. The ones he came into contact with were all messy, those who were mercenaries and those who mixed with the underworld. Therefore, in Su Yun's eyes, most black people were not to be befriended. Black people could crossbreed with goats, black people could have sex with dogs, black people could use fish pipes. Which one of these news was not shocking? Black people could reproduce with their own siblings, ignoring reproductive segregation. This was something that normal people couldn't accept. Many black people who came to Hua Xia to beg for food said that they had contributed to Hua Xia's economy and asked for fair treatment. There were many. However, among these people, it was hard to guarantee that they would not even have a visa, let alone contribute. Hua Xia people had always been kind and compassionate. It was not an empty promise to have friends from afar. Hua Xia people were especially warm to black people who had just arrived. They were especially sympathetic to the legendary situation of black people being discriminated against by white people, so they had always been providing help to them. In the beginning, all Hua Xia people probably thought that it was very tragic for black people to be discriminated against by white people, so they had to help them and give them the same care. But in the end, don't forget the story called The Farmer and the Snake. Now, black people regarded Hua Xia as their paradise. Illegal immigrants flooded in crazily. Now, non-black people had become a social security problem in certain areas. They began to want to be treated fairly, thinking that they had contributed to Hua Xia. Hua Xia was a big family with 56 ethnic groups. They were happy and harmonious, and 56 ethnic groups were a flower. He hoped that the black people would know that 56 ethnic groups were 56 ethnic groups, and would never become 57. Although the number of black people in Huaxia was now more than the total population of some ethnic groups, it would not become 57. Do you think that you yellow people have a special sense of superiority? The black man was a little unhappy. He glared at Su Yun and scolded, "Let me tell you, don't have any sense of superiority. If this was the United States, I could sue you for racism. I'm not discriminating against your race, but you." Su Yun wanted to close the door after he finished speaking, but this shameless person actually stood at the door and wanted to come in for a drink. "Our race is also excellent." The black man glared. Su Yun smiled slightly. To measure whether a race is excellent or not, you have to look at the achievements of the race. In the past tens of thousands of years of human history, your race has nothing to show. At that time, when the European colonists came to Africa, all the black people in Africa were still in the stage of primitive tribal society. Compared to other areas on Earth, their civilization was many years behind. In terms of environmental issues, Africa also had many geographical advantages. For example, South Africa was much better than Europe. Since World War II, because of the Jewish massacre, racial discrimination had become a politically correct issue in the entire Western world. From the extreme of racial discrimination, it jumped to the extreme of reverse racial discrimination. Su Yun admitted that racial discrimination was wrong, but reverse racial discrimination was even more wrong. It was completely against the laws of nature. The premise of the debate between Huaxia and black people was that the two races were at least the same or similar. Black people and Huaxia people were very far apart. Humans had left Africa for many, many years. Mixing with black people was equivalent to returning to the time before liberation. If there were too many black people, what kind of serious consequences would it cause? Su Yun felt that Detroit in the United States was a living example. The once world-famous automobile city was now depressed and dilapidated. Black people accounted for more than 80% of the city's population. Almost all the other races had moved out of the city. Why was that? Could it be that black people should reflect on themselves? Reflect on themselves. Instead of shouting racial discrimination every day, respect was not earned through such despicable means, it was earned. No one would discriminate against Aliko Dangote because he was the richest man in Africa. No one would discriminate against Muhammad Amaudi because he was an oil tycoon. No one would discriminate against Patrick Motsepe because he had a mining empire. They were all black people, but they were not discriminated against. The ones who were discriminated against were those rascals who always forced others to understand their vile, despicable, shameless bastards. In the following chapters, I may have some words against black people, but I declare that it is not racial discrimination. It is because of something that happened to a friend of mine. He was at a famous nightclub in Shanghai when he brought a girl out to drink. In the end, he was openly discriminated against by a black person. He said that a yellow-skinned Chinese man like him was not worthy to bring such a beautiful girl out to play. He also said a lot of self-righteous words. At that time, my friend was angry and went on a rampage. Later on, I will use the dialogue of the minor characters in the novel to write some beautiful counterattacks that my friend told me. I also hope that those who are lucky enough to read these chapters will not be angry. I did not write all of it, but most of it. And these are indeed some of the current situation in our country. Chapter 37-22. The reason why Su Yun felt this way was because he had once participated in United Nations anti-terrorist mission. The location of the mission was Detroit. His mission was to infiltrate a school and disguise himself as an international student to investigate a leading figure involved in a drug case. When Su Yun entered the school, he was completely shocked by everything there. In the classroom where he was teaching, a black girl dared to raise her but lay on the table and shout, F***me. The boys in the class swarmed her and, of course, they did it through their pants. However, in the corner of the corridor or in the bathroom, they did it with real swords and guns. It was very common. The United States of America was very divided into different districts. The good districts were very good. Of course, the houses were also very expensive. The bad districts were very bad, so bad that you could not imagine it. In fact, it was similar to Huaxia. Thus, the educational resources in the United States of America were not as perfect as one would imagine. In Su Yun's eyes, it was a city where more than half of the population lived below the poverty line. There were also many homeless people there. The school that Su Yun infiltrated was a bad one. How bad was it? It was an exam that was as easy as an open book exam in China. The passing rate was only 5%. Can you imagine a school where 95% of the students failed the final exam? Not to mention, the exam was of the open book level. How dangerous was Detroit? Su Yun had personally experienced it. Although it appeared calm during the day, it was filled with dilapidated buildings, broken windows and piles of waste materials. These were not scenes from the apocalyptic movies. They were scenes that Su Yun saw in real life. One day, Su Yun was buying coffee in a shop. Then, he felt something whistling past his right ear. Fortunately, Su Yun reacted quickly. Otherwise, he would have died. That thing that whistled past him was a bullet. Inexplicably, there were people fighting. Many locals had experienced this kind of thing. They themselves had said that living in Detroit meant that they might lose their lives one day. Su Yun knew a classmate who had left his wallet in the back seat. When he was waiting for a red light, someone smashed his car window and snatched his wallet. After calling the police directly asked them to go to the car repair shop to fix the glass. They said that they couldn't catch them because there were too many of them. On another day, Su Yun saw police cars and ambulances surrounding an abandoned building. He could hear shouts and sporadic gunshots from inside. Su Yun knew that there must have been a shootout and a few people had died. The police would not stop the fight. Their job was only to clean up the scene and carry away the dead and injured. At that time, Su Yun wondered what kind of students were in this school and what kind of families they came from. After understanding the situation, Su Yun was shocked at first, then sad, and then numb. More than 80% of the students were from single-parent families or had no parents. It was rare for their parents not to be divorced. The reason why Su Yun Lai pretended to be an undercover agent in this school was because drugs, crime, and sex were rampant in this city ruled by black people. The United Nations arranged for international personnel to deal with the situation here because the American authorities would easily cause a sensitive political topic like racial discrimination. Therefore, this task fell on Su Yun. Su Yun brought an international team from the United Nations to deal with it secretly. This was also why Su Yun was speechless at the American people. Before coming to Detroit, Su Yun thought that the drug problem in Huaxia was quite serious. However, after coming here, he realized that the drug problem in China was not a problem at all. In this damned place, even the campus was surrounded by drugs. In the dormitory, toilet, corner of the staircase, and even the last row of the classroom, there were people who dared to openly take a few shots. Some people even used the excuse of going to the toilet during class to relieve the pain of their drug addiction. Although the school caught these people and punished them after they were caught, the punishment was too light. It could not be compared to China. It was just criticism and education, then suspension for 5 days. What kind of punishment was this? In the eyes of those who were suspended, this was something to be happy about because they did not need to go to class anymore. Not going to class was a good thing for these students, but it was not a good thing for these students' parents. In the beginning, Su Yun thought that these parents would be the same as the parents in China. They were disgusted because this matter made them lose face and embarrass their ancestors. But in the end, Su Yun realized that wasn't the reason at all. Instead, it was a reason that made him feel even sadder. The problem of food and clothing. Yes, this was the problem. Many people thought that food and clothing problems were faced by poor countries in Africa or South America. No one would think that the people in the American Empire had to worry about food and clothing. After living here for a while, Su Yun realized that there were not only people who had to worry about food and clothing, but there were also a lot of people. What was more frightening was that the poverty of these people was very serious. It was not an exaggeration at all. Many families did not have enough to eat. For example, some of Su Yun's classmates did not have money to eat at home. They did not have enough money to eat and could only count on the school's free lunch every day. Sometimes, they even had breakfast. This also explained why the parents did not want the school to suspend their children as punishment. If the family did not have money to eat, the students had to go to school. The school could fill their stomachs for free. The parents of Su Yun's classmates did not have to spend money to buy their meals. Those who were hardworking and had a unit would get free meals from the unit. Those who were unemployed and lazy and did not want to work to earn money would go to the nearby church. There would usually be free lunches provided by the church. As for the subsidies for the poor people in the American Empire, almost all of them were used by these people to gamble, buy lottery tickets, and take drugs. Su Yun also found out a funny thing at that time. The subsidies from the American Empire actually had to be taxed. The school where Su Yun was undercover would give out some food every month for the children to take home. It was usually some bread, milk, canned food, and so on. Even so, many people in that place still did not have enough to eat. This was a problem of whether or not they could fill their stomachs. As for warmth, it was also a big problem. Although there were many old houses everywhere, there was no money to heat them. Therefore, most people were very cold in winter. Su Yun knew many people in the school. They all wore one set of clothes for winter and another set of clothes for summer. There were also many homeless people who lived in abandoned factories and on the streets in summer. The chaos here was on a completely different level compared to Huaxia. There were many shocking behaviors of the students in the school. The school police patrol was a must. They were armed with live ammunition and handcuffs, ready to arrest people at any time. When girls walked in the corridor, there would be boys following behind their butts and doing piston movements. This was not rare. Theft was also a common thing, from teachers' and students' lunches to big things like computers, projectors, and cell phones. There were also girls who sold meat on campus. With just a few meals, they could find a place to have sex. After Su Yun realized this, she realized why there were so many lazy black people in this city. Chapter 37-23. Su Yun lived a life of crime every day. He slowly realized that this place was mainly populated by black people. There were very few people of other races. Those who had a little money, some ability, or at the very least, those who were willing to endure hardships had basically all moved away. The rest of the people were mostly part-time workers or people who didn't work at all. These people were lazy and had very low incomes. They were basically supported by the good welfare and treatment of the American Empire. These people were no different from the beggars on the streets of Huaxia. Of course, there were normal people who didn't want to move because they loved their families. However, there were too few of them. This city was relatively rare. Even most young people didn't want to live in the city center because it was too dangerous. In fact, although the security in Chicago and New York was very bad, many young people were still willing to live in the city center because there was more life in the city center. Therefore, Su Yun's life in that place was very simple. Early in the morning, a few people who had jobs would go to work. Some people who didn't have jobs would go to the casino in the city center or to a fixed location to start preparing to commit crimes. Those who didn't want to commit crimes would go to the church and wait for a free lunch. Some people would go to the streets or go to the nearby places to find part-time jobs. Some people would play games at home. At noon, the nearby church would be very lively. Everyone would come to eat a free lunch. After lunch, everyone would chat lazily, take drugs, break windows, grab bags, and stop a few unlucky people to ask for a small amount of money. In the afternoon, it was time to fight. When it was small, there would be 3 or 5 people on each side. When it was large, there would be 7, 8, or even more than 10 people. When walking, one must walk in the middle of the road. Don't walk to the side to prevent people from hiding in the streets and alleys. Su Yun felt that it was strange. The black people in this place were much better than the white people. However, there were still black people shouting racial discrimination. Su Yun didn't know about other places in the American Empire. However, in this city, Su Yun knew very well that there was a big gap between the white people and the black people. If the white people didn't work, they would starve to death. This was because the financial situation here was too bad. The white people couldn't get subsidies, and they basically didn't provide housing for them. As for the black people, the government would take care of them even if they didn't work. The black people's subsidies didn't exist. This was what the government wanted to ensure. Some of them were even given housing by the government. In short, the welfare of black people was far better than that of white people, and it was more secure. That was why it had become a city where more than 80% of the population was black. Most black people were used to being lazy and gluttonous. Perhaps it was because of his experiences in this place that Su Yun had a prejudice against black people. No, this was not prejudice. It should be said that he understood, truly understood. Su Yun had only been undercover in that place for a month. He left after solving the case, but during that month, he had summed up many rules of survival in that city. Other than the general headquarters and the roulette, there were no other good areas in the city. You can't open the windows when driving in the city. Otherwise, they would be robbed at the red light. Never go out on the streets alone after dark. If the occupant was the last occupant within a 300-meter radius, then he should move out as soon as possible. He had to bring some cash with him, at least 30 to 50 yuan. When he was robbed, he had to obediently hand it over and be prepared to be kicked. Bullets don't have eyes. You can't wander around in the city. If there was a gunfight, you wouldn't even know how you died. You can't enter abandoned buildings out of curiosity. You can walk in, but you might not be able to walk out. Don't use your cell phone on the street. You'll be robbed if you play with your cell phone. You can go to Walmart in the city during the day, but you can't go when it's dark. Otherwise, you'll be robbed in the parking lot. Even in school, everything had to be locked in one's own cupboard. Otherwise, it would be stolen, including very cheap food, because half of the students were hungry. There was a movie called 8 Mile. This road really existed. There were many famous black rappers in Detroit who came from similar black areas. This road divided black people from white people, danger from safety, and also divided heaven from hell. Beginning at mile 8 and ending at mile 12, the Detroit section, it was such a sight on earth that it was hard to believe it was America. This street was the axis of evil, the symbol of the dividing line, and was known to all Detroiters. Su Yun had been here before, so he saw all of this with his own eyes. He would never forget all of this. This city with the most black people was really the city with the worst security in the United States. Garbage was everywhere, burning and smoking, and sewage was everywhere. The buildings were empty, and this horror was suffocating. Many people who didn't know this city would hear from others that the city's desolation was due to the decline of the automobile industry. Because this city was an automobile city, the automobile industry was in a slump, so it was finished. The automobile industry was in a slump? Before this city fell, Huaxia's automobile market hadn't been officially opened. It wasn't because of this at all. Only those who had been there could feel that the city had been destroyed by lazy people who ate too much and ate too much. The city was full of wandering black people. Just thinking about it was terrifying. This metropolis used to have a population of 2 million, but now there were only 500,000 or 600,000 people left, and most of them were black people. In fact, the number of black people here was about the same as the number of black people in some cities in Huaxia. For example, there were at least 500,000 black people in Guangshen. Su Yun couldn't help but worry about Guangshen. It was such a developed southern coastal province. It wouldn't be good if the economy fell because of the invasion of these black people. Invite me in for a drink. I love Huaxia. I won't leave Huaxia, hee, unless a disaster comes. The black man standing in front of Su Yun still didn't have any intention of leaving. Judging from his tone, he was determined to disgust Su Yun. Su Yun sneered. Unless a disaster comes? Yes, this group of black people in Huaxia wouldn't leave Huaxia unless a disaster comes. This exposed the bad habits of most black people. Black people couldn't bear hardships, let alone make any technological contributions to Huaxia. When a disaster came, whether it was a natural disaster or a war disaster, they wouldn't hesitate to leave Huaxia. This kind of black people who didn't have a sense of responsibility and ambition caused violent resistance and conflict. This was not uncommon in Europe and other foreign countries. Why would white people discriminate against them? Wasn't it because they were lazy, always eating delicious food, and didn't make any contributions? The biggest contribution they made was in sports in the United States and some international sports events. Those people were also worthy of respect. They relied on their abilities to make a living. No one would discriminate against them. As a descendant of Hua Xia with a history of 5,000 years, Su Yun really looked down on such people. It wasn't that he wasn't tolerant, but that he couldn't tolerate such people. Why wouldn't they be discriminated against if they didn't make any contributions? To put it bluntly, some black people were really the kind of people who couldn't eat meat if they were killed. They couldn't even plow the land. Why should they be accepted and integrated into Hua Xia society? Why? Was it because they were black and ugly? Chapter 37-24. If the person standing in front of me today was Michael Jordan or Will Smith, I would definitely invite them in for a drink. At least one of them has an influence in the sports world, and the other has made contributions in the film and television industry. Su Yun said lightly, "As long as you can tell me that you have made a little contribution to human society, even if it is to your own country or race, I can invite you in for a drink." No matter how thick-skinned the black man at the door was, he finally felt ashamed. He frowned, and the muscles on his cheeks kept trembling. Su Yun looked at him with a provocative gaze. "Just say one. Just one. Do you know the foreign aid of Hua Xia's basketball CBA? They are all compatriots like me. They have all contributed to Hua Xia's sports and economy." The black man had already practiced his shamelessness to the 9th level. "I am brothers with them. We black people are all brothers." Su Yun had nothing to say. He could only laugh. Black people are all brothers? If Su Yun remembered correctly, he had come into contact with some black people, and these black people had almost no good feelings for their own black brothers. Those black people that Su Yun knew only liked to come into contact with rich people. If the people around them provoked them, they would unceremoniously scold them with words like, "You black b******." It seemed that because they were black, they could scold them like this. If people of other skin colors scolded them, it would be a problem of racial discrimination. I quite like basketball, but those idiots in the Hua Xia Basketball Association are ready to play Hua Xia's basketball to death. Su Yun spat. Back then, the star player that he liked, Hua Xia, was abolished because of the decisions of those idiots in the Basketball Association. Later, Yao Ming was also abolished because of the Basketball Association's request to overload the game. Now that the living conditions were good and everyone had money, couldn't the money be used to cultivate local players? It was a mess, getting foreign aid everywhere. A team needed 2 foreign aid, big foreign aid and small foreign aid. After a game, he saw those black people farming points. What's the use of the coach's tactics? It was to pass the ball to those foreign players who could not make it in the game and had no ball to play in the first half of the field. They would let them play one-on-one and do a clean sweep. When they really could not break through, they would pass the ball. The local players would then strike the iron. Was this a tactic? Tactics my ass. Su Yun looked at the guy in front of him unhappily. If I had the power to control the Basketball Association, I would definitely not let the Basketball Association use such a trashy model. What bullshit foreign aid. You clearly know that the foreign aid coming to Hua Xia is trash from outside. If you dare to be racist again, I won't go easy on you. The black man finally revealed his bandit side. As soon as he finished speaking, he was about to force his way in. This was his plan from the very beginning. There must be a lot of valuable things in such a nice villa. If he wanted to come in, he must have had his own ideas. Su Yun didn't stand on ceremony with him and pushed him away with both hands. Without saying a word, he raised his fist. The black man was stunned. He looked at Su Yun with a dumbfounded expression. He couldn't believe that this guy dared to treat him like this. It was simply disrespectful to him. He was very puzzled. He was just an Asian. What right did he have to treat him like this? What right did he have to discriminate against him like those white people? To a certain extent, this guy's inner thoughts really represented the inner thoughts of the majority of black people, especially those black people in Huaxia who did not have a visa or whose visa had expired. In their hearts, they felt that white people could discriminate against them, but Asians could not. Asians were not as good as them. They felt that black people had a sense of superiority over Asians. Do you think that you Asians have contributed more to the human world than us? The black man scolded angrily. You didn't contribute much either. I can't be bothered to talk nonsense with you. Su Yun, do you remember the Olympic Games in Beijing? Do you know what the starry sky footprints, golden Sinan, jumping words, and beautiful paintings represented? The black man was stunned by Su Yun's question on the spot. What starry sky footprints, what golden Sinan, what jumping words, and what beautiful paintings? He had seen it at that time, but he had just seen it and forgotten it. How would he know the deeper meaning? These are the 4 major inventions of Huaxia. Su Yun, do you know what the 4 major inventions are? The 4 major inventions that have contributed greatly to human civilization. But let me tell you, the contributions of Asians to human society are definitely more than this. There are too many. Even if I tell you, you don't have enough IQ to understand. The black man slammed his fist on the door frame angrily. If you don't make way, then I will use my own way to open the way. You can try. Su Yun also frowned angrily. This guy was really a simple-minded bastard. He actually waved his fist and slammed it on Su Yun's face. Unfortunately, before he could swing his fist halfway, a piercing pain came from his lower abdomen. The tip of Su Yun's foot fiercely hooked onto the guy's lower abdomen, only to see the black figure take a few steps back and kneel on the ground with a plop. Even if he had a six-pack, he was still in so much pain that he cried out incessantly. However, Su Yun admitted that Asians were very strong, and that was their ability to resist. Even if they cried out in pain, when it was time to fight, they would still fight. Even if their heads were broken and bleeding, they would still fight regardless of life and death. This kind of thing was really rare among Asians. Some people concluded that the vast majority of Asians yearned for freedom and spirituality, while the vast majority of Asians yearned for money and power, while the vast majority of Asians yearned for sex and violence. The guy whose ribs were almost broken by Su Yun's kick actually stood up and fought back immediately after adapting to the pain. Su Yun didn't expect this guy to fight back so quickly. He was really someone who wasn't afraid of being beaten. When the black guy rushed up again, Su Yun didn't hold back. He leaned over and easily dodged the guy's hook, and a powerful elbow hit the guy's throat hard. This was also because Su Yun had better control of his strength. Otherwise, this guy would have gone straight to hell. The guy who was hit in the vital part was rolling and struggling on the ground in pain. The pain in his throat was unbearable. When your master calls you again, you can come and knock on the door. Otherwise, I will make your life worse than it is now. After Su Yun finished speaking, he turned around and closed the door, leaving the black guy rolling on the ground outside the door. Anyway, no one could see this black guy rolling on the ground in this kind of weather. Fianu thought that by controlling Yi Shui, he could threaten Su Yun. After getting in touch with Su Yun, Fianu dialed Chuan Shan's number. Chuan Shan was a little surprised to receive Fianu's call. He didn't expect Fianu to get in touch with him so quickly. They had agreed on 2 days. Chuan Shan was a little unsure. He was worried that things would be different again. To be honest, Chuan Shan was really afraid that Fianu would say that he didn't want to do the job anymore. Now that Fianu was his last life-saving straw, he absolutely couldn't let go. President Chuan. Fianu smiled and greeted, "Did you have a good time tonight?" "It was quite good," Chuan Shan whispered, and he asked with some concern, "Didn't we agree on 2 days? You contacted me so soon. Is there any difficulty?" "Difficulty? Ha ha ha. I earn money to solve difficulties. If I have difficulties, I will call President Chuan." "Does President Chuan think it's worth the money?" Fianu asked. Chuan Shan nodded without hesitation. "Then it's really not worth it. Since President Chuan also knows that it's not worth it, then I certainly won't do that. Fayanu smiled. Although we agreed on 2 days, something suddenly happened. I don't need 2 days. I'll solve the matter for you today. Chuan Shan was stunned. You don't want me to kill people, so you want me to bring them to you, right? Fayanu continued. Chuan Shan nodded. Yes. I want them alive. So, you have already caught them alive? Now, he will do whatever I give him. Fayanu said, President Chuan, where are you now? I'll let him find you personally. Do you think that's appropriate? Chapter 37:25. Chuan Shan was stunned for a moment, but he quickly reacted. Fayanu, the business between us is not like this. What I want is a Su Yun that you have subdued. Not for Su Yun to come to me in person. If I want him to come to me in person, I don't need you to show up at all. I can make the call myself. Fayanu let out a few very cold sneers. President Chuan, do you think I don't understand what you mean? I am now letting a person under my control see you. What else do you think? Fayanu said. I am also a businessman, and I also talk about integrity. Chuan Shan opened his mouth in surprise. You? What do you mean? Su Yun has already been subdued by you? In such a short time? He will listen to your arrangements? You tell me a place where he can find you, and I will let him go. Then you will know if I am telling the truth. Fayanu said. What good will it do for me to lie to you? Or is it a loss to you? Chuan Shan was stunned when he heard that. Indeed, Fayanu had no need to lie to him at all. Amazing, worthy of being an expert hired at a high price. His actions were different, and his efficiency was high. How long had it been? It was settled so easily. Chuan Shan knew that no matter what it was these days, you would get what you paid for. Worthless goods were definitely not good goods. Only by being willing to spend money could one really solve the problem. If you feel that there is no loss to you, why don't you choose to believe me? Fayanu smiled faintly. President Chuan, I will not let you down. That's what I want you to say. Chuan Shan's mood slowly calmed down, and he realized that he had finally solved this thorny problem. Chuan Shan told Fayanu his address, and Fayanu promised him that Su Yun would visit him in person within an hour and listen to all his arrangements. After hanging up the phone, Chuan Shan's face finally showed a long-lost relaxation. He originally thought that this year would be uncomfortable, but now it seemed that he had worried too much. All of this was heard by the legend sitting next to him. To be honest, he could not believe it. He felt that this matter was too easy to succeed, so he did not believe it. Dad, I think you should think about it again. How can there be such an easy solution? Legend said, think about it. That Su Yun is someone that even 18K can't afford to mess with. Do you think he can take care of him by himself? This matter is definitely not that simple. Dad, just listen to me and think about it carefully. Listen to you? Chuan Shan glared at him. Why should I listen to you? Do you think you're very powerful? Simple? Ha ha ha. You keep saying that it's simple, but how can an expert who can ask me for 80 million be simple? Legend of 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 legend. I know what you're thinking, but let me tell you something. What a powerful organization can't do, an absolute expert can easily do. Chuan Shan said, the more powerful an organization is, the more things they have to worry about. This is a problem that does not exist in the case of an individual expert. Since Chuan Shan had already made up his mind, the legend didn't say anything more. He nodded. Yes. Yes. I know you're not convinced, but let me tell you, this is the truth. Chuan Shan knocked on the table and said, when Su Yun kneels in front of me later, you'll know whether this money is worth it or not. After Fayanu and Chuan Shan confirmed their relationship, he immediately informed his men and asked them to bring Su Yun to him immediately. After the black man who was beaten by Su Yun received the call, he cautiously went forward and knocked on the door. When Su Yun opened the door, the guy took a step back vigilantly, afraid that Su Yun would beat him again and make him suffer for a while. "What? There's news so soon?" Su Yun said, "Your boss is quite efficient. You have to come with me now. I'm going to take you to a place to meet someone." The black man said, "You'd better do as I ask. Don't forget, your people are still in our hands. We can. I hate it when people threaten me." Su Yun didn't wait for the guy to finish and directly interrupted him. "If you dare to say another word, I can't guarantee that my fist won't fall on your fat face." The black man was intimidated by Su Yun at that time. "Call your boss. I have something to say." Su Yun glared. The black man didn't even hesitate and immediately dialed his boss's number. Now he only hoped that he could throw himself out of the whole thing. Fianu was a little upset when he received the call back. "Speak. I'm telling you, I can't go see Chuan Shan just because of your words." Su Yun went straight to the point. "Now, let your people take me to see you. When I see you, it's best if I can see a safe and sound Yi Shui. I'm afraid you don't have the right to speak now." Fianu was a little annoyed. This guy didn't follow the rules at all. "Right to speak?" Su Yun sneered. "How much did Chuan Shan pay you? If you want to buy my life, I'm afraid it's not a small amount, right? But you'd better be clear that the money is only given when it's in your hands. If it's just a promise, I'm afraid it's really just a promise." Fianu frowned when he heard that. "What do you mean? You help me kill Chuan Shan, and I'll give you 100 million after it's done." Su Yun smiled slightly. "Are you going?" Fianu was silent. "If I directly put 100 million in front of you and then asked you to help me kill Chuan Shan, would you still hesitate? Would you still be silent? Would you still consider it?" Su Yun continued to ask questions. "Of course you wouldn't, because you've already seen the money. Now, what are you hesitating about? Can you really get the money if you do this thing?" Fianu's mind was seen through by Su Yun. His silence was tantamount to a tacit agreement. "I believe that no matter how much money Chuan Shan promised to give you to solve my problem, he just gave you a promise." Su Yun said, "I know them better than you. They don't have money to give you now, because they want you to deal with me to get money from me." "What do you mean?" Fianu said. Su Yun smiled. "In less than a month, Chuan Shan has lost more than 3 billion because of me. Now he still owes a lot of debt to the casinos in Australia. If he can't get back the money he lost to me, he won't have the money to pay off the casino's debt. It's even more impossible for him to have the money to pay off your bill." Fianu heard that and couldn't help but frown. The casino's debt? Chuan Shan has a son called Legend. His name is Carlos. He borrowed hundreds of millions from the casinos in Australia in the name of Carlos. You can inquire about this from the casinos. Su Yun said, "It's impossible that you haven't been to the casinos in Australia. You must be familiar with the stacking. You can call and ask." "People of Chuan Shan's status have plenty of money," Fianu said. "Why would his son borrow money to gamble?" "Because his son lost all his money to me. In order to recoup his losses, he went to the casino." Su Yun smiled. "Now you understand why I'm so clear, right? Because I'm the person involved." Fianu was stunned. "How much did he lose to you?" "Many, many billions." Su Yun said, "I can't count. In less than a month, I've earned more than 3 billion from the father and son, right?" Fianu fell into silence for a moment. "Why do you think Chuan Shan hired you to find me?" "Of course, it's for money." Su Yun continued, "I really want to know now. How much did he spend to hire you to help him get back such a large sum of money?" Fianu originally didn't want to say, but his mouth unconsciously answered, 80 million. "Sure enough, you're a cunning old fox." Su Yun laughed. "Let you risk your life to get back such a sum of money for him, and then give you a little bit of change. Ha ha ha. A businessman is a businessman indeed. No wonder they say that all businessmen are cunning. You really got him so much money? Fayanu didn't believe it. Su Yun said indifferently, I don't need you to believe me. What good is it for me to let you believe me? I'm afraid there's no benefit at all. Why should I explain it to you? Chapter 37-26. Fayanu was also stumped by Su Yun's question. Su Yun really didn't need to explain to him. All I know now is that Chuan Shan doesn't have the money to pay you. If you don't believe me, call him now and tell him that I can help you admit that I'm under your control. Su Yun said, then you can ask him for money and see if he can give it to you. Fayanu clenched his fists. Chuan Shan dared to trick him. Thinking of that, Fayanu had an impulse to kill someone. He just looks like a rich man on the surface. Su Yun said, the real rich man is talking to you on the phone right now. Fayanu was stunned. What do you mean? Actually, I think we can talk about cooperation. What's the price of buying a life from you? Su Yun said, if I buy 2 lives, can you give me a discount? If you're interested in talking to me, I don't mind. If you're still stubbornly prepared to believe Chuan Shan, then fine. I'll go see Chuan Shan with your men now. Fayanu took a deep breath and finally couldn't hold it in. Wait a minute. Aha. Su Yun nodded. Is there anything else you want to say? Let me think about it. Give me time to think about it. Fayanu said. Do you still need to think about it? Do as I say and ask Chuan Shan for money. See how much he can give you. Even if you let him give you half first, I'm afraid you won't be able to get it. Su Yun smiled slightly. Come to me now. I want to see you. Fayanu's thoughts were completely changed by Su Yun. Su Yun's mouth slightly raised, revealing a satisfied smile. Good. You don't need to tell me where to go. Tell your men. After that, Su Yun threw the phone to the black man. Fayanu decided to test Chuan Shan according to Su Yun's words. He wanted to video call Chuan Shan and let Chuan Shan see Su Yun. Moreover, it was Su Yun who was under his control. When the time came, if Chuan Shan didn't give him the money, then he was playing with him. The black man hung up the phone and prepared to leave with Su Yun. When Su Yun said that he wanted to drive himself, the black man initially disagreed, but Su Yun told him that it was all his idea for Fayanu. Besides, he had to make sure that Yi Shui was safe, so he couldn't drive himself away. At this time, the black man finally understood the truth. He obediently drove the car and led the way. Fayanu had made preparations before Su Yun had arrived. He had actually put a miniature remote-controlled bomb in Yi Shui's neck. The remote control was a chalk-like object in his hand. As long as this object was touched, the bomb in Yi Shui's neck would explode. The power of this miniature bomb was not strong and would not hurt the people around it, but it could easily blow up Yi Shui's neck. With this thing, Fayanu was not afraid of Su Yun playing tricks. When Su Yun was brought in by the black man, Fayanu arranged for someone to bring Yi Shui to Su Yun without any hesitation. He didn't need to say anything. He only needed to shake the vibration sensor remote control in his hand, and Su Yun would immediately understand what it was. You don't need to care about me. Yi Shui stared after seeing Su Yun and said, This guy is a traitor to our hunter school. He wouldn't dare to do anything to me. I'm already a traitor. Why wouldn't I dare to do anything to you? Yi Shui, you are too confident in your position in my heart, Fayanu said. Fayanu said, Of course, I admit that you are very important in my heart, and I treat you as a friend. But if I had to choose between your life and mine, I would still choose mine without hesitation. Su Yun could tell that Fayanu was telling the truth. Whether I hurt you or not, the hunter school will not let me go, Fayanu said. So, why wouldn't I dare to do anything to you? Su Yun knew what Fayanu wanted to express. Well, you don't have to say anything. Do what you have to do. Okay. Fayanu ordered someone to tie Su Yun's hands behind his back. The rope used was the same material as the one used to tie up Yi Shui. It was a new type of material with great toughness. It was used to deal with masters like them. Yi Shui looked at Su Yun letting Fayanu tie him up. Her face was full of surprise. She really couldn't understand why Su Yun would do that. Su Yun saw Yi Shui's gaze and just smiled. It was crazy to dare to make such a bet, but Su Yun dared to put himself to death because he was sure that Fayanu was a slave who lived for money. If Fayanu wasn't a slave to money, Su Yun wouldn't have dared to make such a big bet. But now, Su Yun had no scruples, because Su Yun was sure that even if Fayanu wanted to kill him, he only needed to tell him that as long as he didn't do it, no matter how much money he wanted, and Fayanu would never do it again. Su Yun was very sure of that. You are simply a madman. Is it worth it? Yi Shui stared at Su Yun with her eyes wide open. With their relationship, there was no need to take such a big risk. My godson is still in the hunter school, and he has done something that displeases the principal. Su Yun smiled bitterly. If something happens to you, an instructor, in this city under my eyes, then... Yi Shui was stunned. Even if something happens to me, it has nothing to do with you. You don't have to blame yourself. I don't have to blame myself, but I have to do a favor for my godson. Su Yun said, if you can go back alive, you will owe me a favor. I don't need you to pay me back. I just hope that you can take care of Bu Fifan. He is a naughty kid, and he will definitely cause a lot of trouble. I can only ask you to help me discipline him. Yi Shui was silent. She didn't know if Su Yun really thought so, or if he was just looking for an excuse. But in any case, it showed that Su Yun cared about his godson. After Crocodile's accident, Bu Fifan followed me to train, Yi Shui said lightly. Su Yun smiled. Is that so? Then this brat really has luck with women. No, he's blessed. Ha ha ha, a slip of the tongue, it was definitely a slip of the tongue. I won't do anything to him just because I owe you a favor. Yi Shui said, since he is my student, I will be responsible for him. You don't have to worry about that at all. Then I am relieved. Su Yun laughed. After Su Yun was controlled, Fayanu sneered. You are really in the mood to laugh? Do you know what kind of situation you are facing now? No matter what the situation is, you don't have to make me come here with a sad face, do you? Su Yun said, don't forget, I took the initiative to come here. It wasn't you who had the ability to deal with me. Why can't I be in a good mood? I will contact Chuan Shan now. If Chuan Shan can transfer the money to my account immediately, I'm afraid you won't be able to laugh. Fayanu said, what you said on the phone before, I won't believe a single word. Su Yun nodded. Of course, I dared to come here because I dare to assert that he has no money. Not to mention giving you all of it, he can't even give you half. Fayanu's breathing was a little heavy. You know, your confidence is really annoying. But let me tell you, if it weren't for my confidence, you would still be played like a dog by Chuan Shan. You better shut up. Fayanu stared. Don't really treat me like an idiot. Su Yun was too lazy to pay attention to him. His IQ was indeed not high. At least at that moment, he was almost an idiot, and quite an idiot. At that moment, he was still fantasizing that Chuan Shan could transfer all the money to his account. I can give you time to pray, Fayanu said. As long as I make the call, it will be like spilled water that can't be taken back. You are quite cultured. Su Yun laughed. I don't need to pray. If praying was really useful, I would have prayed before I came that you would suddenly choke to death. Wouldn't that save me a lot of trouble? Fayanu was ashamed, but he didn't know why he couldn't get angry. Good. Good. Then let me see whether you are playing with me or Chuan Shan is playing with me, Fayanu said to himself as he adjusted his breathing. Su Yun smiled faintly and thought, don't you feel that we are all playing with you? Why can it only be one person playing with you, and not two people playing with you? With this IQ, it would be strange if I wasn't played with. Chapter 37:27. Fayanu directly opened a video call with Chuan Shan. Chuan Shan was surprised to receive another call from Fayanu. He had thought that this guy wouldn't call again. He had been waiting for Su Yun. Now that Su Yun hadn't appeared, and Fayanu called again, Chuan Shan was a little disappointed. He was worried that there would be an accident. This would make him lose face in front of his son. The legend looked at his father expectantly, waiting for his father to answer the phone. He also wanted to hear how things had developed. Ever since he returned to the country with his father, he had been watching his father make a fool of himself. If there was a problem this time, he wanted to see how his father would defend himself. If he couldn't beat Su Yun, then he had no right to blame him. Chuan Shan was a little unhappy as he connected the video call. Fianu's always impatient face soon appeared in front of them. President Chuan, I have something to confirm with you. Fianu went straight to the point. 80 million. When are you going to give it to me? After it's done, I won't give you a penny less. Do you think that I, Chuan Shan, am the kind of person who owes others money? Chuan Shan's unhappiness was all written on his face. Are you doubting me? Fianu shook his head. I'm not doubting. I just hope that President Chuan can give me a guarantee. We talked about the cooperation before. You get the person for me, and I won't give you a penny less. Chuan Shan's voice was getting gloomier. To put it bluntly, Chuan Shan's voice was getting less and less confident. He was worried that Fianu would ask him for money now. The last sum of money he collected would be used to boost the box office for Su Yun. Before Su Yun gave him the money, he had nothing to give Fianu. I'm done. Fianu finished speaking and pointed the video at Su Yun. Chuan Shan was stunned, and the legend who was peeking at the side was instantly as if injected with chicken blood. That's right. Su Yun was controlled and tied directly to the chair by Fianu. What an exciting thing. The legend of legendary couldn't wait to go out and set off 100,000 firecrackers. Chuan Shan looked at Su Yun in the camera and was so surprised that he couldn't speak for a long time. He really wanted to ask how Fianu had managed to deal with Su Yun. Why couldn't he do it? Now you've seen him, Fianu said with a smile. Chuan Shan nodded and came back to his senses. I remember you called him just now and told him to come and find me. But what is the meaning of this now? That was just now, and I did make that decision. It's just that I suddenly don't trust President Chuan anymore. Fianu smiled. So, I think President Chuan should give me a little something, right? He's useless in my hands. Give me the money now and I'll send him to you immediately. Now. Chuan Shan was stunned. Now, transfer 80 million to me, not a single cent less. Fianu said faintly, any method is fine. Transfer, cash, Alipay, WeChat wallet, there's no problem. You can use any method, and I can receive it. Chuan Shan knew this guy would have such a request. You can rest assured that I, Chuan Shan, am a man of my word. You give Su Yun to me, and I promise to transfer the money to you very soon. Very soon? How soon is very soon? President Chuan, I need a specific time, not an abstract answer. Fianu smiled. Very soon? For me, that's 5 minutes? Or 10 minutes? It can't be more than half an hour. More than half an hour isn't considered fast. I promise, 80 million won't be less than a cent. Why don't you trust me? Chuan Shan was a little anxious. President Chuan, I didn't let you pay first, and that's already trusting you. Fianu said, but now I have the person under my control. What's so difficult about letting you give me the money? If you do that, you'll be letting me down. Chuan Shan shook his head. I definitely don't mean that. I'm absolutely trustworthy. But what I want is for you to bring the person first. Bring the person here, and I'll give you the money immediately. Okay. President Chuan, I understand your request, but you want me to bring the person over. Shouldn't you pay a part of it first? Even if you buy a house, you have to pay a down payment. It's impossible to pay zero down payment, and only pay the full amount after you get the property certificate. You should at least give me a down payment, right? Chuan Shan took a deep breath. It's no fun if we do that. It's no fun. Fianu nodded. 50%. Give me 50% within 10 minutes, and I'll bring the person over. President Chuan, I'm an impatient person. 10 minutes is a long time for me, but for the rich and powerful President Chuan, maybe it's a matter that can be solved with a phone call? Fianu hung up after he finished speaking. Chuan Shan still wanted to explain and fight for it, but all he heard was the busy tone. Damn be asterisk starred. Chuan Shan angrily threw the phone on the carpet. Legend looked at his father blankly. Dad, he has already caught the person. Then we'll just give him 40 million first. Give him the money, and let him bring the person over after he gets the money. 40 million? You make it sound so easy. Chuan Shan now had an impulse to kill whenever he thought of the word money. If it weren't for you, a prodigal son of *tch, do you think I wouldn't be able to take out 40 million? Let me tell you, let alone 40 million, I can't even take out 4 million. Do you understand? Can't even take out 4 million? Legend looked at his father with a dumbfounded face. He didn't believe it. He really didn't believe it. Because on a normal day, in Chuan Shan's eyes, 4 million was like $400 in the eyes of ordinary people. In the eyes of ordinary people, $400 wasn't a lot of money. It could only be regarded as pocket money. Anyway, it was the new year, and this amount of money wasn't enough for 5 or 6 people to have a meal outside. Chuan Shan said that he couldn't even take out 4 million. It was like an ordinary person telling his son that he couldn't even take out $400. Legend couldn't believe it, just like how an ordinary child wouldn't believe that his father couldn't even take out $400. Dad, don't joke with me. This amount of money. Legend said carefully. This amount of money? Well, you're right. This amount of money is indeed this amount of money. Then give it to me now. Chuan Shan scolded angrily. How much did I give you in the United States? You pay for the 80 million. Take it out. The legend of Mir was wronged. They did transfer a lot of their assets, but all of the money was invested in various kinds of investments. The rest of the money was used to buy a house and a car. So, he really didn't have much money. The money he saved by living frugally was all lost to Su Yun in the casino in Macau. Chuan Shan couldn't take out 4 million, and Legend couldn't even take out 40,000. Dad, you can't blame me for this. If there's no other way, I can sell my house in the United States and take out some investments. We can make up for the hundreds of millions. Legend said. Chuan Shan would never let him touch those investments. Those were the foundation of their family's migration to the United States. He couldn't touch them. He couldn't touch them. Even if you go back and sell your house now, do you think you can make it in time? How much time do you think I have for you to waste? Chuan Shan stared at his son. And I'm warning you, don't even think about any investments in the United States. That's the source of our family's future in the United States. Legend lowered his head. He was a little nervous because he had already used some of the investment money. His father hadn't found out about it yet. Once he found out, he would die a horrible death. Then what should we do? Legend carefully changed the topic. Chuan Shan shook his head. I don't believe that he will mess things up just because I didn't give him the money. Su Yun is useless in his hands. He will definitely contact me again, definitely. Legend wanted to say that it was not right for them to put all their hopes in the hands of a foreigner, but he didn't dare to say anything. He knew very well that if he opened his mouth, his father would tell him that anyone was more reliable than him. So, Legend decided to keep quiet. I dare say that he will contact me again. If he doesn't compromise with me, he won't get a single cent. He will have done all this for nothing, Chuan Shan said firmly. Chapter 37:28. After hanging up the phone, Fianu couldn't control his temper. At that moment, he was sure that the bastard Chuan Shan had tricked him. 80 million? He shouldn't have believed it. He shouldn't have done anything before the 50 million was paid. It was because he felt that this business was worth a lot of money that he didn't charge in advance. The result was this. Do you believe me now? Chuan Shan doesn't have any money at all, and you still asked him for 40 million. If you can get him to give you 10 million first, I'll consider it your win. Su Yun was making sarcastic remarks. Fayanu glared at Su Yun fiercely, as if it was because of Su Yun that he had lost such a large sum of money. Su Yun smiled bitterly. You being fooled has nothing to do with me. Chuan Shan is so cunning that he wanted to trick you from the beginning. This is something you can't control. Once bitten, twice shy. If it weren't for you, he wouldn't have come to me. I was fooled this time because of you. Fayanu had no fear of Su Yun. After all, Su Yun was now under his control, and Yi Shui was also under his control. No one could touch him, so Fayanu wasn't worried at all. Yi Shui frowned. She was worried about this. If Fayanu was shameless and blamed everything on Su Yun wouldn't be able to resist now. I can understand if you think this way, but if you really think that it's useful to pour dirty water on me, you can think this way. Su Yun said, but if you have some sense and know that it's meaningless to blame me for this kind of thing, then I don't understand the meaning of your thinking this way. Fayanu's fists were trembling. I know that you certainly don't want this to happen, but there's no other way. Things have come to this, and you can only resign yourself to fate, Su Yun said. If you don't want to do this business for nothing, I can give you a way out. Fayanu was stunned. What way? You can cooperate with me. I have money, and I'm not so poor that I can't even take out such a small amount of money. Su Yun smiled. I'll give you money, and you help me solve Chuan Shan. You're giving me money? Do you know how much my life costs? Fayanu asked. Whatever you say. However, I hope that you will consider it carefully. Chuan Shan's life is not worth much, Su Yun said with a smile. Fayanu was stunned for a moment. Su Yun was actually bargaining with him. Did he really want to do that? Su Yun's gaze was sincere, so sincere that Fayanu had completely trusted him. Do you really intend to cooperate with me? What else? Was this a joke? Do you think I'm in the mood to joke when my life is in their hands? Su Yun said, if I don't deal with them, they will keep coming after me. Well, since you said that his life is worthless, and his life is worthless in my eyes, I'll give you a discount, Fayanu said. Usually, a life in my hands is worth 50 million. I'll give you 40 million. Su Yun nodded. That's generous of you. You can give me a 20% discount. Give me money, and I'll help you kill people, Fayanu said. How can I give you money now? I don't have a card on me. Do you want me to go home and get it? Su Yun said. Fayanu sneered. I will never trust anyone again. If you want me to do things for you without spending money, then don't even think about it. I won't give you a chance. Do you think I'm so stupid that I would still lie to you after knowing the serious consequences after you've been deceived? I'm now under your control. I'm not as free as Chuan Shan, who can escape after discovering that you've deceived him, Su Yun said. If I lie to you now, you can cut my throat at any time. Fayanu was stunned for a moment. Indeed, Su Yun had no chance to escape now. At least for now, he was still controlling Su Yun. As long as he didn't let him go, Su Yun would always be under his control. People could deceive him to kill people for 40 million, but they would never threaten his life for 40 million. Whether I have money or not, you can ask Chuan Shan when you see him. Even if you don't know how many assets I have, you can find out from Chuan Shan how much I got from him. Even if you don't give me a discount, the money I give you is more than enough. Su Yun smiled. Fayanu decided to believe in Su Yun. He didn't know why, but he felt that Su Yun was trustworthy. You don't need to do this at all. Yi Shui stared at Su Yun. He actually spent money to let Fayanu do things. Of course, she couldn't accept it. Yi Shui, this is a business between us. Don't interrupt. Fayanu looked at Yi Shui. The business between us will only be good for you. It will never be bad. Su Yun, you can't do this. Yi Shui said to Su Yun again. Su Yun smiled. I think he's right. This is a business between me and him. You'd better not interfere. You're crazy. Yi Shui couldn't accept it. Su Yun said to Fayanu, if I were you, I would get this valuable person's life as soon as possible. Anyone with a brain would run away as soon as possible after deceiving you, lest you retaliate. Fayanu thought it made sense when he heard that. Now he knew where Chuanshan was. If Chuanshan intended to escape, he really needed to find him. Now there was still the matter of Yi Shui to deal with. Fayanu didn't have time to waste looking for people. Su Yun was right. He had to act immediately and solve the matter before Chuanshan escaped. That was the wisest and most worry-free way. You guys keep an eye on him. Fayanu waved his hand and gathered some of his underlings. Fayanu had a lot of such black friends in Shenzhen. These people were very happy to be his underlings because he was rich. Now, Fayanu had arranged more than a dozen guys here. If he needed, he could make a call and get more people. Immediately call some more brothers to help. We need manpower here. Fayanu said, you can't leave the two of them for even a minute. You absolutely can't let go of them. Keep a distance of more than 3 meters from them. After that, Fayanu also asked 2 people to go to the room to find the 2 hidden pistols. They would directly find 2 people to shoot Su Yun and Yi Shui to death. As long as they dare to do anything improper, you guys shoot. Fayanu said, if you let them run away, I will personally twist off each of your heads. Do you remember that? Fayanu's threat was so chilling. The dozen or so fellows present nodded one after another and responded cautiously. They were very clear about what kind of person Fayanu was, and they were also very clear about what would happen to them if they messed with Fayanu. If they didn't want to die, they had to obediently do things well. As long as they did things well, they could eat and drink well by Fayanu's side. They could be vampires and parasites. There are so many people watching us, and there are guns. You can rest assured and go. Su Yun said, if you don't hurry up and Chuanshan runs away, I won't give you a cent of the 40 million. Fayanu glared at Su Yun, as if warning him not to play any tricks, and then hurriedly walked out. The dozen or so black brothers who stayed there to watch over them became vigilant. The 2 guys who were responsible for holding the guns pointed at Su Yun and lectured him. You better not play any tricks. Otherwise, I will blow your head off with one shot. Do you understand? Don't point the gun here and there. Can you be responsible if it misfires? I'm also warning you. If you really accidentally hurt me, or if I die, your boss won't be able to earn 40 million. Do you think you can live? Su Yun asked in return. The 2 black men holding the guns were stunned at that time. Our boss said that if you dare to move, we will directly kill you. He won't blame us. Su Yun laughed. You guys are really too lazy to use your brains. What do you think he should say about this kind of thing? It's just talk, but if anyone really makes him earn 40 million less, there won't be a good ending. All the black men present were intimidated by Su Yun because they felt that what Su Yun said was very reasonable. If they put themselves in his shoes and someone made them lose 40 million because of this kind of thing, they would definitely skin the person alive. Yi Shui was now very speechless with Su Yun, and she didn't even want to pay attention to him. You guys can rest assured that I won't run, so you don't have to take such a dangerous action with a gun. Su Yun smiled. Everyone, calm down. We're not enemies. The enemy now is that guy called Chuanshan. When this is over, I'm the one who paid for it. He's your boss's partner. We'll definitely shake hands and make peace. Do you understand? A few black men nodded as if they understood. Although they put down their guns, they didn't relax their vigilance. Chapter 37-29. In a villa in the wealthy district of Shenzhen, Chuanshan, who was deep in thought, suddenly stood up from the sofa. He suddenly realized the danger. Who was Fayanu? He was a professional assassin, and he was the kind of guy who charged high fees to deal with difficult cases. The security system in Chuanshan's house was not a problem for Fayanu. If Fayanu was angry because Chuanshan had no money, what would he do? Chuanshan couldn't help but shudder. Obviously, the consequences were not what he wanted to see. He absolutely didn't want to see it. Let's leave now. Chuanshan suddenly issued such an order. He absolutely couldn't gamble with his own safety. He told the address clearly to Fianu, and Fianu said to let Su Yun come by himself. But now Chuan Shan felt that he wouldn't be able to wait for Su Yun, and would most likely wait for Fianu instead. Damn it! Chuan Shan clenched his fists. He was really overwhelmed by the things that had happened during this period of time, and there was no way to think about the problem properly. If it were in the past, Chuan Shan would never do such a thing that put himself in a dangerous situation. Dad, where are we going in the middle of the night? Legend was stunned. Even if that guy didn't bring Su Yun here, we wouldn't have to look for him, right? We are people of status. You shut up and leave immediately. Chuan Shan didn't have time to explain too much. Going to the door at this time was looking for death. If you didn't have money in your pocket, you shouldn't have provoked someone like Fianu. This kind of person only recognized money and not people. There were people like that among the people Chuan Shan dealt with. They only recognized money. Without money, nothing was good, so he would never waste his breath. Even if we took the initiative to go, you can't go. I'll go for this kind of thing. I'll represent you. This is giving him enough face. Legend still didn't realize the sense of crisis. Chuan Shan stared at him fiercely. I didn't say what we were going to do. We are going now. Leave immediately. Go to the airport immediately. Go to the United States. At this moment, Chuan Shan had already given up. He had no capital to turn back. He could only escape to the United States to avoid Fianu. As for the debts from the casinos in Australia, he could go to the United States to sell some of the properties that Legend had bought in the early years, or sell the shares of some companies. That sum of money should be able to be gathered. Chuan Shan was not prepared to continue. At that moment, he seemed to have seen himself swaying in the cold wind. He was like a candle that was about to be extinguished. No. He didn't want to die yet. He wanted to live for a few more years. He hadn't enjoyed the blessings and relaxation in this world yet. All these years he had been very careful, as if he was covered in thin ice. He had been on tenterhooks, thinking of ways to make money day and night. But he didn't expect that he would end up like this. If he had the chance to make a new choice, Chuan Shan would definitely not live like he did today. For the sake of money, he couldn't even be by his parents' side before they passed away. For the sake of money, he could even disregard his wife's life. For the sake of money, he raised his son into the trash he was today. For the sake of money, he lost all the other good things in the world. He didn't have kinship, he didn't have love, and he didn't even have friendship. All he had was money. And now, the money he had was about to vanish in a short period of time. All this hypocrisy had completely collapsed. Chuan Shan didn't know what was left of him that could support him to continue living. At that moment, he lost all his motivation. He only hoped that they could leave here safely. He hoped that after they escaped to the United States, his daughter-in-law could give him a grandson as soon as possible. Then he would have a new hope. But all this seemed to be just a distant dream. Dad, did you take the wrong medicine? Legend looked at his father in confusion. What are you doing in the middle of the night? Why are you going to the United States? We haven't finished our business here yet. Listen to me. Take the documents. We'll leave right now. Let's lie low for a while. Chuan Shan said, We've lost this time. Don't make any more useless struggles. Legend was stunned. From the day he could remember, he had never heard his father admit defeat. For the first time in so many years, he had heard his father admit that he had lost. Dad, even if we lost, we don't have to run away, do we? Legend shook his head. Legend wasn't as competitive as Chuan Shan. He didn't care about winning or losing. It was no big deal. But Legend couldn't accept the current state of running away with his tail between his legs. This was something that legendaries couldn't understand. It was said that a starving camel was bigger than a horse. His family was like an elephant. Even if they lost, knelt, or died, wouldn't they still be bigger than a camel? Of course. Chuan Shan couldn't help but curse. If it weren't for you, a useless piece of trash, I wouldn't have provoked that guy who kills without batting an eye. Now he must think we're playing with him. He'll take revenge. Do you understand? He knows exactly where we are right now." Only then did the legend realize that his father was worried about Fayanu. "He's just a killer who kills for money," Legend said. "No one gives him money, so he won't do anything to us." "How do you know no one gives him money?" Chuan Shan asked. Legend laughed disdainfully in his heart. "Dad, you really think too much. He asked for so much. You asked him to help you deal with Su Yun, and he asked for 80 million. Who would be willing to part with such a sum of money?" "That is, you." Legend stopped. He didn't finish because what he was about to say was too unpleasant. "Yes, I'm afraid there aren't many people in Shenzhen who can afford such a price, but there's one beside him." Chuan Shan glared at his son. "And the one beside him can easily take out a sum of money to let him kill our whole family without any heartache. Because that money was F***king, given to him by a piece of trash like you." Legend couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat on his spine. God! How could he forget about Su Yun? At this time, they couldn't afford to pay. Su Yun only needed to take out money to make people like Fayanu betray them immediately. Because people like Fayanu were only loyal to money, and not to anyone. Damn it! What have I done? Legend took a deep breath. At this time, he finally knew the gap between him and his father. The gap between him and his father was too big. Legend needed a long time to understand what Chuan Shan could quickly figure out. He really didn't know who he inherited his IQ from. "Then I'll go pack up right away." Legend went straight to the second floor. "Take all your documents," Chuan Shan reminded him. "Be quick. Quick. Do you understand? We don't have time to waste." Legend and his woman hurriedly ran to the second floor. Chuan Shan asked his men to start the car and park it directly at the door. Even with Chuan Shan's instructions, the Legend couple still wasted more than 10 minutes upstairs. Chuan Shan was furious downstairs, shouting and cursing a few times before they ran down from upstairs. Legend packed all his luxury watches and high-end ties, while the woman took all her designer jewelry. They were clearly aware that they might not be able to return to this home in the future. "You two are simply crazy." Chuan Shan saw that they actually took 2 or 3 bags, and at that time, he was furious. If it weren't for his son, if it weren't for his future grandson, he really wanted to leave the 2 of them there and leave by himself. Who cared if they would be caught and killed by Fayanu? "Go!" Chuan Shan glared. The 3 of them quickly went out, but the driver in the car didn't get out to open the door for them. At this time, Chuan Shan couldn't care about these small things. He opened the door and sat in the car. Legend also opened the trunk and threw a few bags in, then followed his father in. The 2 men sat in the back of the car. The woman had no choice but to sit in the front passenger seat. The 3 of them got in the car, and the car lock fell down with a snap. "Go! Go to the airport immediately. Go as fast as you can," Chuan Shan ordered. When he got in the car, he took out his phone to check the flights. There was a direct flight to Los Angeles in 3 hours, and the business class cabin was empty. Chapter 3730. President Chuan, why are you in such a hurry to leave? We haven't had a good chat yet. The person in the driver's seat suddenly spoke slowly. Chuan Shan's body instantly stiffened. He only felt a chill crawl from his back to the back of his head, and his whole body became cold. The person in the driver's seat was no longer his subordinate, but Fayanu. It seemed that a lot of things had happened outside in the 10 minutes when the Legend and the others were packing up. Chuan Shan was annoyed. He shouldn't have waited for them. He should have just left. At least he wouldn't have fallen into the situation where he was beyond redemption. The Legend also realized the trouble. He came back to his senses and was about to open the door to escape. His woman was the same as him. They both wanted to escape the car as soon as possible. But it was useless. Fayanu had a car lock jammer on him. As an assassin, these things must be carried with him. As long as Fayanu used the jammer to lock the door, the people in the car wouldn't be able to open the door. The key of the original car couldn't be opened. Unless they had the ability to kick the door off, they wouldn't be able to get out. The legend saw that the door couldn't be opened, and he slammed the window with his elbow in horror. Unfortunately, the car was too luxurious, and the windows were bulletproof. The legend's strength was simply not enough. Even bullets couldn't penetrate, let alone his weak arm. "No, don't." The woman was already curled up on the door in fear, afraid that the person next to her would suddenly attack her. The legend also gave up. The other party had come prepared. As long as he didn't want them to escape, anything they did would be meaningless. "Fayanu, I hope we can sit down and talk slowly." Chuan Shan knew that it was useless to do anything at this time. The only way was to negotiate. Only by negotiating could they win a chance. For so many years, Chuan Shan had been able to stay in an invincible position because he had a mouth that knew how to negotiate. "You are in such a hurry to go to the airport. Do you still have time to sit down and talk slowly with me?" Fayanu's voice was full of murderous intent. He didn't intend to give Chuan Shan any chance at all. Chuan Shan smiled awkwardly. He was also afraid that Fayanu would suddenly attack them. But at this time, he could not count on anyone. He could only count on himself. He could only rely on his own mouth to persuade Fayanu to give him a chance and let Fayanu believe him. As long as he had Su Yun under his control, he would have the money to pay. "I have time, of course I have time. As long as I'm talking to you, everything else has to be put aside," Chuan Shan said seriously. "Don't give me that useless crap. What I hate most is you yellow people who like to trick people." Fayanu spat. "You don't have any money. I'm already very sure of that." "It's true that I don't have any money right now, but listen to my explanation. Give me a minute, and I will explain it to you." Chuan Shan said, "As long as you listen carefully, you will understand everything." Fayanu sneered. "I don't need you to explain. Your money is in Su Yun's hands, right?" Chuan Shan was stunned. He didn't know if Fayanu had guessed it or if Su Yun had said it himself. "Su Yun cheated in the casino in Australia and cheated my son of a large sum of money. Then he used me to say that he was checking the box office and cheated me of a large sum of money again." Chuan Shan said, "If it wasn't because he was too cunning, I wouldn't be unable to take out such a small amount of money." Fayanu snorted. "Cheated in the casino in Australia? Is he so capable? Do you think I haven't been to the casino in Australia? It's impossible to cheat." "But he cheated us," the legend said emotionally. "If it weren't for him, we wouldn't be so miserable." "You shut up." Chuan Shan didn't want his son to talk nonsense and ruin things. The legend turned his head to the side unhappily. If it weren't for saving his life, he wouldn't have bothered to say so much nonsense. If he didn't want him to speak, he wouldn't speak. It was no big deal. "I don't care about the trivial matters between you two," Fayanu said. Fayanu said, "My principle is to do things with money. When I do things and encounter people who don't pay, I will use my own way to warn them. I won't let people think that I, Fayanu, can be played. If such a person appears, in the future, everyone who comes to me to do things will think that they don't have to pay me." Chuan Shan shook his head frantically. "There is absolutely no possibility of that. I never thought of not paying from the beginning. Absolutely not." "But you did do that," Fayanu said. "I have already caught the person. Not only did you not pay, but you also planned to escape on a plane. Where do you want to escape to? President Chuan, you don't think that there is a place in this world that you can go but I can't, right?" Chuan Shan took a breath of cold air. Fayanu's threat made him uncomfortable. "President Chuan, don't blame me for not giving you a chance," Fayanu said. "I thought that if you couldn't take out the money, you would take the initiative to find me to explain, but I didn't expect you to actually want to escape." "See, I said it. We took the initiative to talk to him, and he would understand." The legend wanted to cry but had no tears. "You had to escape. Why did you escape? Are you happy now? Chuan Shan's eyes were full of hatred as he glared at his son. He had told him to shut up, but his mouth was always so disobedient. I. The legend wanted to say something but stopped. Chuan Shan then slowly said, Fianu, I didn't go to the United States to escape from you. I wanted to get money for you. I have real estate in the United States and have investments. I can just go and get some back to make up for your money. I didn't mean to escape. I just wanted to keep the agreement. If you wanted to give me money, you would have arranged for someone to go to the United States to sell your real estate, right? Fianu said. You realized that I would come to you, so you did these things. Isn't it a little late? Chuan Shan tried to make himself look as calm as possible. Yes, it is a little late. However, it is always better to be late than to break my promise. Fianu clapped his hands. President Chuan is really eloquent. You flatter me, Chuan Shan said. I was just telling the truth. I did want to raise money for you. If I let you go today, do you know what it would be called? Fianu said. Chuan Shan thought for a moment and replied with a smile, It would be called magnanimity. Ha 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 ha. Fianu suddenly laughed a few times. No, this is not magnanimity. Chuan Shan still maintained his smile. Oh. Then what do you think? Wherever did you fall, there will never fall again. Fianu suddenly raised his voice. Chuan Shan's face lost its smile. Although his English was not good, he also knew the meaning of this sentence. It meant that one would not fall in the same place twice. If I really let you go to the United States to raise money for me today, then I would be a real idiot. Fianu smiled. Everywhere in the pit, again in your wit. Chuan Shan frowned. The legend thought his father didn't understand, so he explained in a low voice, This means that a drop in the abyss is the harvest of your wisdom. Chuan Shan didn't even look at his son and said lightly, This means that you learn from your mistakes. Don't use your laughable English knowledge to help me translate. I'm not stupid enough to let you translate for me. You are like a tiger father and a dog son, right? Ha ha ha, President Chuan, your son is far inferior to you. Are you sure you were the one who shot the gun back then? Fianu laughed heartily. They didn't dare to do anything anyway. The legend's face was white, and he really didn't dare to say a word. Fianu, if you are not willing to give me a chance, then can I propose a solution in the car? Chuan Shan said, Now that you have Su Yun under your control, if you let him go, then you will return nothing. You give him to me, and I will let him return the money to me. Your 80 million, I won't give you a penny less. In addition, I will give you another 20 million as an apology. Do you think this is okay? Fianu raised the corner of his mouth. You mean 100 million? Yes. 100 million. You give him to me, and I will give you 100 million. Chuan Shan nodded, and his expression was very serious. I am absolutely not joking. I can write you an IOU, and we will go to the notary office to have it notarized. If I don't give you the money, you can take the IOU and sue me. I am a person of status. You must know this. As long as you sue me, my reputation will be ruined. Fianu looked as if he suddenly understood. Oh, so that's how it is. Oh, this is indeed a good idea. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha. As long as you like it. Chuan Shan laughed. Chapter 37-31. Fianu's face suddenly changed. But what if I don't like it? What can I do then? Chuan Shan was also confused by Fianu's inexplicable change in attitude. He slowly adjusted his breathing and carefully explained, This is the safest way for you. The safest way for me? Haha, I'll tell you what it is. Fianu said, If I take the lives of your whole family to Su Yun in exchange for 100 million, I think he will agree very happily, right? No, you can't do this, you can't do this. This will affect your credibility. Chuan Shan said. You work for me, but suddenly work for an opponent to deal with me. Once this kind of thing spreads out, how can you establish yourself in the future? You can't stay in the business anymore. My credibility? Breaking my promise to someone who has broken his promise to me, this is not breaking my promise. Fayanu shook his head disdainfully. My credibility in this circle is well known, and I don't need Chuan Shan to worry. Moreover, once the news spreads that the president's whole family is dead, who can talk nonsense outside? No one knows what I have done. Chuan Shan was really scared at this moment. Let's talk things over. I didn't lie to you about this. Why should we be implicated? The legend was so nervous that he stuttered. At this time, if he could protect himself, he would rather push his father out. Then what do you mean? Fayanu laughed. Your father broke his promise to me. I can kill him, but I can't kill you? The legend didn't speak, but in Chuan Shan's eyes, this was a kind of acquiescence, which was the biggest betrayal to him. Damn it! Chuan Shan slapped the legend hard in the face. This unfilial bastard, he could actually abandon him at this time. He had raised him for so many years in vain. Why did you hit me? You can't solve the problem by hitting me. The legend was also angry. At this time of life and death, who would care about who? Chuan Shan trembled. If I hadn't raised you so hard, would you have everything you have now? You can actually abandon me at this time. For your own life, you abandon me? When did I say I would abandon you? The legend glared. How could I abandon you? But now that they don't trust us, there's only one way to solve this problem. What is it? Chuan Shan was stunned. The Legend of Legendary said, give me a copy of your authorization letter and hand over all your assets in the United States to me. I'll take the letter back to my lawyer and sell off the 2 properties or the shares of some investment groups. I'll come back to ransom you with the money. You want me to stay as a hostage? Chuan Shan finally understood. The Legend of Legendary asked back, who else is qualified to be the hostage except you? We don't have that qualification at all. Even if we say that we want to stay as hostages, they won't agree. Other than you, none of us are worth 100 million. Chuan Shan was speechless. What made Chuan Shan even sadder was not his son's unfilial request, but that he could not believe his son's words. He couldn't even believe his own son. What kind of experience was that? Chuan Shan had never thought that at his age, even his own son could not be trusted. However, he firmly believed that if he stayed behind as a hostage and authorized his son to handle all the assets in the United States, he would never wait for the ransom to come back. Chuan Shan did not believe that his son would come back to save him. Once the Legend of Legend got the authorization of all his assets in the United States, he would definitely transfer all the money. By then, he would no longer have any leverage to control his son. For so many years, the legend had obediently bowed before Chuan Shan, not because he was the legend's son. It was all because of money. Everything was because of money. Legends bowed their heads before money. The reason why he always flattered Chuan Shan as his father was because of money, not the so-called family affection. Legend had always hated Chuan Shan. Ever since Legend's mother died because of Chuan Shan. Legend hated his father every single day. Some people said that friendship should be maintained, so even if it was a group of scoundrels, they still had to drink and chat from time to time. Everyone would sit together and brag. Some people said that love was mutual, so 2 people had to tolerate each other, understand each other, and praise each other so that they could grow old together, help each other in times of need, and respect each other. However, no one cared about family affection, because family affection seemed to be the most worthless thing. It was something that could be obtained without friendship or pursuit. What did that mean? It meant that it was something that many people did not care about the least. After all, it was free, so they could squander it as they wished without caring. That was how Chuan Shan had always treated his family. He had never cared about his own son. He thought that money and business were mutual, but he did not think that family affection was mutual. In fact, family affection was the same as all other friendships. If they could not be maintained, they would only become weaker and weaker. The legend of legend lost his mother when he was very young. At that time, he almost lost all opportunities to communicate with his father. It was not that the legend of legend did not want to communicate with his father, but his father did not communicate with him at all. The legend of legend always had to accept orders in front of Chuan Shan. Chuan Shan rarely had meals at home. At most, he could have meals with him at home 3 or 5 times a month. However, Chuan Shan did not show any concern for him during these 3 or 5 times. Chuan Shan would answer phone calls and reply to emails and messages from business partners even when he was eating. In short, he had never really communicated with the legend of legend. Every time the legend of legend wanted to say something, Chuan Shan would only give him endless education and lessons on what to do, and so on. These were the only things that the legend of legend could say to him when he communicated with him. 3 feet of ice was not built in a day, and 1,000 meters of generation gap was not dug in a day. The relationship between father and son was buried by Chuan Shan little by little. Most of the time, the legend of legend did not understand why his father called him a good-for-nothing. He admitted that he was a good-for-nothing, but why did he become a good-for-nothing? Ever since he could remember, his father had never set a good example for him. How could he not be a good-for-nothing? What Chuan Shan did was always opportunistic. He was not like those who were truly capable, who relied on hard work to climb up the ranks step by step. Chuan Shan did not set such an example for the legend of legend. The legend of legend had never seen how hard his father worked. Every day, he would see how his father was opportunistic. Every day, he would listen to his father's complaints. Every day, he would be surrounded by negative energy. If today's society was the same as before, where it was so easy to be opportunistic, the legend of legend believed that he would be able to make it. However, today's society did not allow opportunism. When corruption was eradicated bit by bit, the legend of legend would no longer have the opportunity to climb up through opportunistic means. In this generation, if they didn't have a capable father to pave the way for them, they could only rely on their own abilities to fight for opportunities and seize them. Only by relying on their own continuous struggles and efforts could they have a chance to rise to the top. Even if they had the chance, many people could not succeed. Why? Because if you wanted to succeed, the chances were only 1 out of 10. Hard work was only 2 out of 10. What was the other 7 out of 10? It was luck. The lucky ones could use a lot of connections to make up for this 7 out of 10 because of the previous generation. Ordinary people relied purely on luck. How many people worked hard all their lives, but every time they encountered an opportunity, they would miss it? It was not a matter of ability, but a matter of luck. Why did the children of rich and powerful people succeed even if they did not work hard and had no opportunities? Because they were born lucky, and they held 7 out of 10 in their hands. The legend of legend did not know whether he was a person with 7 out of 10, because his father was different from those real rich and powerful people. His father was a parasite that lived on corruption and policy loopholes. When the corruption and policy loopholes were fixed, there was no place for him to live on. Chuan Shan knew that his son had no affection for him, so he did not trust his son. If a father could not let his children see him as a role model, then he was a failure. Chuan Shan was very sure of this. He was an absolute failure. Chapter 37-32. Aren't the two of you a little too naive? Fianu interrupted the two of them. I don't care what you think at all. Do you understand? Fianu was determined not to let them go. Chuan Shan knew in his heart that if it were anyone else, they would not let the father and son come up with a plan. Therefore, Chuan Shan's anger was meaningless. If you choose to believe Su Yun, then you are gravely mistaken. He even fooled us father and son until now. We are still confused. Do you think he can be trusted? President Chuan, in fact, you can be more straightforward. I can understand. Fianu said, you're saying that even you can play with me, let alone a person who can even play with you, right? Yes, Chuan Shan answered in his heart. He did mean that. However, Chuan Shan could not say what was in his heart. If he said it, Fayanu would probably fly into a rage on the spot. I don't mean that. I'm really worried that he'll play tricks. Chuan Shan explained, really, I guarantee that guy is definitely a bastard with a lot of tricks up his sleeve. I don't need your explanation. Fayanu shook his head. He can fool you because you can't do anything to him. But he can't fool me because his life is still in my hands. Chuan Shan asked, is that so? Fayanu stared at Chuan Shan. Do you want to play psychological warfare with me? I'm telling you, you're not qualified. President Chuan, I remember we had a video call just now. Su Yun is under my control. Didn't you see? What else do you think he can do like that? Chuan Shan shook his head. He is a very powerful guy. Otherwise, I wouldn't ask you to help me solve the problem. Haha. No matter how powerful he is already under my control. You haven't seen my skills, Fayanu said. I believe you are very powerful and that you can control him. But now he is not under your supervision. Letting such a dangerous guy out of your supervision line of sight is not a wise thing to do. Chuan Shan reminded Fayanu. Although Fayanu kept telling himself that Chuan Shan was playing psychological warfare with him, he began to have doubts at that moment. Indeed, Su Yun was not under his nose at this moment. He really did not know what this guy was capable of, but he was definitely not simple. Although Fayanu had left so many people to keep an eye on Su Yun, the IQ of those guys was really not high. Although Fayanu was also a descendant of black people, he didn't trust the group of black people who relied on him to eat and die. They were a group of people without much IQ. What Chuan Shan said really made Fayanu worried. If you really kill us and go back to find that Su Yun has escaped, you won't get a single cent, Chuan Shan said. Also, I heard that guy has a good relationship with the Shenzhen police. When the time comes, I'm afraid it will be very difficult for you to survive in Shenzhen. Fayanu was not the kind of person who was afraid of the police, but he was a person who was afraid of trouble. If he had to live in trouble every day, he would be very, very disgusted. Fayanu sucked in a breath of cold air. Have you said enough? Honest words are unpleasant to the ear. Chuan Shan realized that he had grasped the life-saving straw. At least you have to make sure that Su Yun is not playing you before you deal with us. With you here to keep an eye on us, we can't escape at all. Chuan Shan was right. Fayanu really did not need to worry about the three of them. The three of them were like little ants to him, and he could pinch them to death with his fingers. There was nothing to be afraid of. Moreover, people like Chuan Shan especially cherished their lives, so Fayanu believed that he would not do such a stupid thing. Fayanu decided to take Chuan Shan back to see Su Yun. When the time came for the three parties to face each other, he would deal with whoever could really take out the money. After all, for him, he only needed to be loyal to money. He did not care about anything else. He only needed to be loyal to money, and being loyal to money was equivalent to being loyal to himself. The place where Fayanu lived was not difficult to find. It was a small German-style bungalow. The value of the house was naturally not cheap. Perhaps only people like Fayanu could afford to rent it. The annual rent of hundreds or even tens of millions was something that ordinary people would not even dare to think about in their lifetime. Yifala looked at the location on the mobile phone map and patted Chong's shoulder. It's here. Su Yun's mobile phone's location is here. Just before Su Yun came to Fayanu's place and got out of the car, he sent a message to Yifala, sharing his location. He said that in half an hour, he needed Yifala to bring a few brothers to deal with a few black thugs. Yifala was puzzled. How could a few black thugs stump Su Yun? Chong stopped the car, and some of the black men outside immediately surrounded him. Boss Yi, didn't Brother Yun say to deal with a few? There are at least 10 of them, right? Chong looked at the black men outside from the car and said, these people were called in later for support. Fayanu's residence now had at least 20 black thugs helping him to keep an eye on Su Yun. Suddenly, a strange luxury car drove in. The guys who were responsible for guarding the door were of course interested. They quickly came forward to see who was in the car. Who cares how many of them are here? Yi Fala said. Chong did not know whether to laugh or cry. If he had known that the other party had so many people, they would have brought a few more people. Now, it was just him and Yi Fala. The other party was black and looked a lot stronger. This made Chong not have much confidence. Although he knew that Boss Yi was very good at fighting, he was a big man. He could not hide in the car and watch, right? Yi Fala opened the door and got out of the car. Chong had to brace himself and prepare for a big fight. When the black men who surrounded saw that it was a beauty who got out of the car, they all grinned and showed undisguised smiles. In the middle of the night, their teeth looked particularly white against their black skin. Chong felt goosebumps all over his body when he saw them. "What are you doing?" A black man suddenly said, "Little beauty, could it be that you Huaxia's men can't satisfy you, so you came to have fun with us?" Ha 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 ha. The other black men all laughed. This group of people could be said to have no quality at all. Chong was annoyed at that moment. He took out the baseball bat that he had been keeping in the car and scolded, "Shut your stinky mouths, or I will smash you." There is also a useless yellow worm. You really overestimate yourself. The black leader looked at Chong with disdain. He did not take Chong seriously at all. Chong didn't like black people because of last year's Oscar award ceremony. As everyone knew, the Oscars had always been dominated by white people. That year's Oscar award ceremony was known as the White People's Feast. Because of this, the black people were unhappy. Before the ceremony, many black celebrities boycotted and refused to attend the ceremony. Therefore, the organizing committee had no choice but to invite the black movie star Chris Rock to save the day. However, as a black celebrity, while the host of the award ceremony was complaining for the black people, he also foolishly made fun of the yellow people and the Chinese community, openly engaging in racial discrimination. In the past, Chong only knew that white people might discriminate against black people, yellow people, and all other skin colors. Of course, they would also discriminate against the Chinese. But now, even the former black serfs were doing the same thing, riding on the yellow people's heads and peeing. Perhaps these black people were only a part of the population. Chong also believed that there were some black people who were friendly, but this part of the population was clearly unfriendly. There were many powerful black people in the human society. The previous president of the United States, Osama, was one of them. Even he, the grandson, should thank Grandpa Mao. How did the first black people come to the United States? They were sold to the United States as black slaves. Their identity and social status were the lowest. To put it bluntly, they were animals that could walk on two legs. They were essentially no different from cows and horses. In the eyes of white people, they were animals. Why did the black people in the United States hate racial discrimination so much? It was because their ancestors were bullied by those noble white people. Their ancestors were the slaves of these noble white people, which was why they had such a big reaction. There was a historical reason why black people could not accept the discrimination of white people, but the yellow people did not have a historical reason to accept the discrimination of white people. Chapter 37-33. The group of black people laughed unscrupulously. "Let this little yellow worm flatten the seat in the bus. We want to play with this little beauty in the bus. Ha ha ha. You think you can hit me? Look at your own skin color. Sick man of East Asia. Ha ha ha." The most arrogant black man openly mocked Chong. The veins on Chong's forehead were popping out. "You should thank us yellow people for being able to change from black slaves to black people. Do you understand?" Chong looked at these bastards who had committed all kinds of crimes in Huaxia with contempt. Today, not only would he teach them a lesson, he would also call the police to arrest these bastards. There were so many black people here. Their visas must have expired. Because people with proper status wouldn't do such things that only hooligans would do. What nonsense are you talking about? We black people can rise because we are strong. Ha ha ha. We can *CK you white and yellow women. That's why we are where we are today. These black people only had sex and violence in their minds. It was really difficult for normal people to understand and tolerate them. You know about the Civil War, right? Lincoln freed the black slaves, but the white people's discrimination against black people continued. All kinds of racial segregation, racial system. Chong said, "You should have heard about it from your ancestors, right? Shackles and handcuffs bound you black people to the lowest level of society. Black people can't appear in white people's government. Black people can't appear in white people's residential areas. Black people can't appear in white people's schools. Black people can't appear in white people's toilets. Black people can't get on white people's buses. Even if there's only one white person on the bus, you 20 black people have to pray that there's no white person on the next bus." Chong's words undoubtedly aroused the anger of this group of black people. These past humiliations were branded on every black person's body. This brand was history, a humiliation that could never be washed away. This brand was like gunpowder to them. They only needed a spark to detonate it. You once had a black leader called Robert. He was wanted by the FBI because he led the movement to allow black people to ride freely. He was forced to exile in Cuba. During this time, he wrote to the #1 person in the East twice to ask for help. He asked Grandpa Mao to support the black people's fight against racism. Chong said, Grandpa Mao issued a statement of support for the black people's just struggle against U.S. imperialism. Do you know? The black men were stunned by Chong's words. Yifala didn't know whether to laugh or cry because of Chong's mood. If you don't like it, just fight. Why are you talking so much nonsense with them? Obviously, Chong had to vent his anger. Otherwise, he would feel aggrieved even if he beat this group of black people to death. Chong actually represented the mentality of the majority of Huaxia people. They were friendly to the black people, but as time passed, they realized a problem. Friendliness did not lead to friendliness, but more often than not, they were insatiable. Let me tell you today, when your black leader, Robert, received this statement, he cried tears of joy. No leader of a powerful country has ever issued such a call to the world. Chong said. Actually, Chong didn't know about these things before. But after he came to Shenzhen, Su Yun told him that if he wanted to establish a foothold in this society, he had to read more books. He could read any kind of books as long as it could enrich himself. Therefore, during his days in Shenzhen, Chong developed the habit of reading books. These were all things he read in historical books. He liked these kinds of books. Grandpa Mao's Black Slave Emancipation Proclamation caused the black people's civil rights movement to reach a climax. More than 100 cities in the United States broke out in armed conflicts. The black people held the red Grandpa Mao's words in their hands and shouted to stand up and fight. They didn't want to kneel and beg for survival. Chong said, if there wasn't a leader of a powerful country that issued a call to the world to support you, would you be where you are today? Yifala had a whole new level of respect for Chong. He had a wide range of knowledge. The first and only Human Rights, Freedom, and Democracy Act of the United States dictatorship was successfully passed under Grandpa Mao's coercion. From then on, many countries in the world gave you black people human rights. Only then did you black people have equal rights to ride in the car, go to school, work, and participate in politics. Chong glared. The group of black people really went silent. Although Grandpa Mao has passed away for many years, the black people now are not the same as the black people who were oppressed by non-humans. Although they are still discriminated against by white people, their resistance has long been brainwashed by the democracy of the United States. So you can only find balance with other colored people. Chong's tone was very tough. You can be where you are today because of the yellow people. You don't know how to repay kindness and still commit crimes in the yellow people's land. Don't you think you are despicable? Although these words came from the bottom of Chong's heart and were very reasonable, for these black people, it was obviously useless. Just as Chong finished speaking, these angry black people raised their fists and directly pounced on Chong. Chong also didn't hesitate to raise the baseball bat in his hand and ruthlessly hit the head of the guy who pounced on him. F***ck your grandpa. Chong's angry scolding and the baseball bat, He waved fiercely at these people who didn't know what was good for them. When Chong's mood rose, these black people were actually quite afraid. To be honest, they had never seen such a tough, yellow person like Chong. Most yellow people would avoid them if they could. When they faced them, they were obviously afraid. This was also the reason why these black people were unscrupulous. They had never taken the yellow-skinned people seriously. Yi Fala couldn't help but sweat for these black people. Although Chong had always been very well behaved, that was also because of Su Yun's education. In the past, when he was a hoodlum, he was also a person who didn't care about his life when he fought. These black people were really unlucky in their previous lives to meet him today. Chong flipped one over with a bat and directly smashed the head of this B*****. After showing his strength, Chong became more and more courageous. On the other hand, the black people who were flaunting their strength just now were scared. There was a saying, "A dog that barks doesn't bite." These black people were such a type. Normally, they would flaunt their strength and use their skin color to scare people, but when it came to a real fight, they were afraid. In the blink of an eye, Chong defeated 2 people. Although his back was attacked by a black person who kicked him fiercely, Chong still became more courageous as he fought. "Come on. Let me see what you B*****s are capable of," Chong shouted. "If you have the ability, kill me today. If you can't kill me, I will kill you all. All of you, get the F***ck out of Hua Xia. Hua Xia doesn't need trash like you who will affect the safety of society." After Chong's fighting power exploded, Yi Fala couldn't do anything. However, the black people's fighting power and resistance were still quite strong. Even if Chong exploded because of his anger, he could only barely deal with 3 people. The remaining 7 people were easily dealt with by Yi Fala. It was quite easy for Yi Fala to deal with these guys. The first guy who tried to take advantage of Yi Fala had his knee crushed by Yi Fala's high heels. The second guy who tried to force Yi Fala down had his teeth crushed by Yi Fala's elbow. Anyway, these guys who provoked Yi Fala originally wanted to take advantage of her. In the end, they were taught a lesson by Yi Fala. Their ending was much more tragic than the 3 guys who attacked Fu Chong's son. Of course, the 3 guys who attacked Fu Chong's son were defeated in the end. Although Chong's clothes were dirty and the corner of his mouth was swollen from the punch, his mood was exceptionally good. Ever since he followed Su Yun and became a positive young man full of positive energy, Chong didn't really fight anymore. This fight made him feel the madness of those years again. Remember this. Don't think that white people are noble just because white people bullied you. Yellow people are friendly to you, not because yellow people are despicable. It's because they are kind. Chong said, "If you treat this kind of kindness as the inferiority of people, then you are not playthings." You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.